What's going on, my brothers and iron? Today I'm bringing you a live Q&A. Sunday, right before the week starts, we're going to get productive up in here. Answer all fitness questions that you may have. Yo! We got Bennett Geller, 500 squat, Adil, hard style, Christian Sad, Dan 104, Carnage Maximum, Ethan Sprague, Fran Yest, Graveyard Ripper, J-Ro, Barrera, AS, Don Jaral Williams, Ali. This is Thancred, Flamingo, Home Slice, Sam, Tough, Nukes, Jim, Hot Sacks. Yeah! We got all the homies here. What's up? Lige Nebo, Isaac Abramov, Mario Tigres, champ in the making. What's up? Trigger sets. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I know it's a little bit unexpected, but it's the start of 2022. We can't just not give you a Q&A. After all, they used to be frequent every single week. So you know, we gotta start the first week with this. Even though it's the finale. What's up, Michael? Yeah, Happy New Year, Josh. So, I'm gonna answer your questions for about an hour and a half. At least that's what the official time will be. But I don't know what to expect beyond that point because we got a crazy good audience here with lots of questions, and I'm not gonna leave you. So if after 90 minutes we're still going, you keep asking me questions, I ain't gonna stop. It's gonna be 3, 4 hours, 5. I don't care how long it takes. I'm answering all your frequent your questions. And if you want to get personal with me too, sure, we can do it. So we're gonna be here for some time. Get a drink. I'm having water, no booze. Still gotta eat and drink healthy, even though, you know, we ain't dirty bulking or going through cuts, at least right now. Most of us are doing a lean bulk. Alright, so let's get straight into this. Let's answer your fitness questions or whatever you want to know from me, okay? Timer starts right now. This is the baseline. Arlo De Leon. Are you a gamer? What games do you play? Absolutely, bro. Been a gamer since I was 5 years old. And there were some years ago where I stopped doing it completely. And I realized I was less happy, man. It's been a part of my life for so long. And I just learned to accept that about myself. I am a gamer nerd who happens to also love anime. It is what it is, man. I'm not gonna run away from that. I enjoy it thoroughly. I'm happy to share that with you guys. And I like the hard games in particular. None of the games that hold your hand. You know what I'm saying? Like Dark Souls, Bloodborne. I'm looking forward to Elden Ring as well. I don't even know if the shit came out yet. And if it did, well, I don't have time for it right now because we gotta be productive. RuneScape, one of my favorite games of all time. You know? I can go through a bunch with you guys, but yeah. I like it. I like the stuff that you gotta grind, you know? When will your calisthenics program come out? This year. It's in the works, and it's utilizing a particular training system that got me to these level of gains in the gym. So the same system that worked in achieving a 405 bench, 225 OHP, 4-plate pull-up, these are all the exact same principles. And so I'm taking my time with it. Got to make sure it's done right. It's going to be different. It's been a long time since I haven't released a program, so I want it to be perfect. So stay tuned. It's probably going to be the middle of the year. You a fan of Baki? Absolutely. I read the manga, I think it was 2013, the entire thing. And then years later, the anime came out, the continuation, and I was very excited to go through that as well. Though I haven't seen the final part yet in animation. Your opinion on dog crap training? So this was a system popularized by Dante Trudel, and he was known for making forum posts on how to get big with minimal like complication. It was all about low volume, maximum intensity, basically how Dorian Yates trained, you know, lots of rest, pause, weighted stretching, pushing yourself to the absolute limit. And he was also big on certain steroid cycles that weren't that expensive. So keep in mind, he was enhanced, his followers were, though he didn't prescribe general fluff and pump training like what you see a lot of the guys today doing. So it was a different world back then. And yeah, what's my opinion on it? I don't think it's optimal. The evidence is pretty clear that 10 to 20 sets a week per body part is optimal. And we don't see any top powerlifters incorporating those methods either if we're talking about strength training. You know, the whole percentage system, the exercise specificity. Sure, you can calibrate all that, but it's dated, you know? And there's certain things we can learn from it, like the rest pause. That's a good substitution to cheat reps, as Dr. Mike Israetel pointed out in one of his recent videos. But the program itself, DC training, can't say I'd recommend it, to be honest with you. But, you know, he was actually one of the... Dante Trudell talked about the way to stretch, even before me. But I don't think he was referencing it for the traps like I was. He would talk about doing weighted stretches on the flies. You hold that position for like 30 seconds, you know? Or doing with your calf raises, the long head of the triceps, your basic bodybuilder areas. And then for me, I was more so inspired by Megan of Team 3D Alpha with that guy who used to carry buckets of water every day, you know? Weighted stretch on the traps and... you know, just me logically breaking things down. That's how I came up with the rack pulls above the knee. And then I saw the old school lifters who did hand and thigh lifts. So it further confirmed the history and all that. But yeah, there's certain things we can learn from it, but as a whole, I wouldn't prescribe DC training. But it certainly beats what's out there today. Will you ever start doing workouts with other people? Sure, man. When the world gets back to normal, I'm game for all that stuff. But right now, things are so unexpected. And just to say, in my area, we're on lockdown once again. And there's a curfew. So it's 10:27. Legally, I am not allowed to leave my house right now. Yeah. And the gyms are closed. So what I got over here is pretty clutch. For not only what I do work-wise, but in terms of convenience. And I can even sell the stuff and make more money than for what I originally bought it for. So 2022 started like that. It doesn't affect me personally, but I understand a lot of people are stressed out. And I feel for you. Yeah, I hear you guys. It's not fun, but things could be worse. Keep that in mind, okay? And even when the world is not where you want it to be, you have control with your decisions. Like, before doing this Q&A, I had a choice. I can stay in my bed and watch anime for the next 2 hours and then knock out, or I can help you guys and start the year right. What are you going to pick? Be productive or lazy? Are you going to gain a bunch of weight? Dirty bulk? Right now, if you're locked down like me, you might be primed in getting an Uber Eats order done. Having a pizza right here while watching a movie. But check it out. We got people over here asking questions. And we're vibing it out. You made that choice. Alright, we got some super chats. SW, thank you. I remember you saying that getting sufficient protein on a vegan diet is incredibly easy, but would you say the same about doing just that on a budget? Absolutely, because a plant-based diet is by default a budget. If you're doing a whole foods plant-based diet. Forget about the processed stuff, the meat alternatives. No, get bags of rice and beans, the dried stuff. And then for fruits and vegetables, you want to get it frozen. Personally, that's what I do for 2 reasons. One, I'm extremely lazy. And it's more convenient to just take it out of the freezer, put in whatever you're trying to make. And the second thing is, it doesn't go bad, and you can buy it in bulk, and it's a lot cheaper. So get everything frozen. You're not missing out on the nutritional effects. Some would argue it's even better because it's flash frozen. And I know Scooby1961 made a video about that years ago. But going back to protein, the amount that you need is so little in the first place that it's kind of an overstressor for no reason. Put this in perspective. When I was shredded, which some people have speculated to be around 8 to 9% body fat. I've claimed 9, others have said 8. That was 145 pounds. That's dried out to the max. Like, I did the proper water manipulation strategies. I was cutting for months. Like, I couldn't get any leaner than that for being in that range, right? If we base protein requirements off lean body mass, so I do 0.8 off 145 pounds. Or let's lower it a little bit, just to account for even more shredded status. Let's do 0.8 times 140. That is 112 grams of protein a day. How hard is that to get? I'm an elite lifter. You see me bench 405. Right now, I'm probably getting around 120 grams of protein without even counting. It's just happening automatically. Some days I get a little bit higher. No problems recovering. Muscle memory is kicking in strong. You saw me do a 1 board press with 385. 2 months, I should be back where I was at. All protein. Primarily plant-based, not 100%. But just to say, you don't spend a lot of money on whole foods. It's all the processed crap. And when you eat out. So I wouldn't even worry about this to begin with. You're automatically going to get what you need. So I hope that was helpful. Alexander Leonidas is the most badass name. Yeah, guys. We talked about that in the last Q&A. And I want to switch to Alex Leonidas. Just because everybody knows me as Alex, you know. And if you want to call me Alexander, feel free. And some people have a hard time with longer names. You know what I'm saying? But my only concern with all this is the Alpha Destiny brand has gained a pretty good reputation over the years. It's had its ups and downs, but overall, it's pretty good. And I think I represent the natural community in a meaningful way, right? That said, if I switch to Alex Leonidas, would that negatively impact the algorithm? All my years of hard work? Would my stuff stop being recommended? I'm a little bit concerned about that. Because I don't want to lose everything that I built up just for a freaking name change. So I want to do it, but at the same time, is it worth it from a reputation standpoint? For what people recognize me for? A little bit scared, not gonna lie. Okay, we had a super chat. Oh, did it disappear? Okay, right here. Home slice. Female strength standards in your opinion. It's hard to say because I think my audience is 97.5% male. And yeah, that's where my training experience is. I cater to men, I coach men. There's very few women who want to get yoked, for example. They've come around, but they're rare. And so if I base it off my coaching experience, it's all with dudes. Novice, intermediate, advanced, elite. I've dealt with them all, right? So it's limited, my understanding, with the women for the strength. But what I could say is progressive overload wise, it's probably gonna be about half. And you have to identify what level are you trying to hit. Intermediate or advanced. I think a good goal is a bodyweight squat and bench press. And then the deadlift is probably gonna be double that. But I would just run a basic novice program for men. Maybe run, actually some would argue you can handle even higher volumes because the absolute load on your recovery is nothing. So, and I think there was a study by Menno Henselman who confirmed that. If you're a girl, you can actually train harder. So I would still run a novice program made by a man, for men. And that's it. You're probably going to have to microload instead of, like if a program calls for 10 to 20 pounds increase on a deadlift, you're doing half of that. That's all there is to it. Furious Gaming. What's the best way to rehab pretty damaged joints, neck, lumbar, shoulders in order to work up to heavyish lifting and intense athletic training? Okay, that can get intense, man. First of all, using bands is always beneficial, just so you can pump blood into the area without affecting your recovery. So if you see me with my elbow pain solution segments, I talk about doing band pushdowns with very high reps to get the overspeed eccentrics. That's how you hypertrophy the connective tissue, since tendons are avascular, and it can take a long time to really build that area up. So just like you can do this with the elbows, pushdowns, fast curls, the same can be extended to the neck, lumbar, shoulder area. For the neck, now keep in mind this is not medical advice, but I would say the neck flex might be the perfect tool for you. And yes, I am sponsored by them, but this is the only neck harness that is pretty much tailor-made for band training. And you don't have to attach to a rack and stand far back to get the results. You can get really close to that rack with the minimal stretch and just pump it out, really high reps. Or you can just pull manually and do it. Adjust the resistance like that. So for the neck, you're pretty much covered. The lumbar area, the reverse hyperextension is going to be your best bet, as well as just driving in more volume in the form of direct lower back work. So 90-degree back extensions, 45 degrees, even good mornings with a freaking broomstick or bands. That's going to be very helpful. You want to get a hip hinge in, because it's not just about strengthening the spinal rectors, which you're going to do with a direct exercise, but also the posterior chain as a whole, particularly the glutes. When you have weak glutes, that manifests itself into lower back pain. That's often one of the causes for rounding on a deadlift. You would think it's lower back, but usually that's not the case. So the combination of reverse hypers and a focus on slow progressive overload on a hip hinge is where it's at. And just to say, when I started doing good mornings again, I began with an empty barbell for sets of 10. And I micro loaded my way up. Now I'm doing some pretty good numbers. Like, if I wanted to, I can go well over 2 plates for reps. But I'm not doing that as a training tool because of laws of gravity. You start to bend your knee more and your form starts to look compromised. So what I'm going to be doing is 5 sets of 20 with around 185 pounds instead of trying to overload it to the max, and also using accommodating resistance to modify the strength of a bit. So that's when you get to a certain level of strength. But good mornings definitely have their place as you build up. And then the shoulders, I made a video on how to bulletproof them. So definitely be sure to check that out. But the Lou raise is really good. And in general, you want natural scapular movement where you're not trying to restrict everything. And when we talk about presses in the horizontal plane, some have stated that you want to not do anything at all with your scapula. Just let your body do what it needs to do. I don't find this the best approach when using certain loads on the bench, and I've yet to see really strong powerlifters execute this with longevity. Just to say, I think the smart alternative is to retract and protract. So at the bottom of a bench press, stay tight. Then as you come up, instead of staying in that maximum retraction, allow your shoulders to come up. So it is possible to be done. Obviously, the bench is restricting your movement a little bit, but the movement itself could be coached to have that better synchronicity. So for flat pressing, that's how you want to do it. Then overhead press, shrug at the top. That's a pro tip from Mark Ripito. And in general, you want to do a lot of external rotation work. We spend a lot of time in this internally biased position. You want to do the opposite. And that's going to help you when you do your squats as well. Many times, our shoulder pain doesn't necessarily come from the pressing. It's the squatting, because your shoulders crank back, and it requires a certain degree of, stabilization strength, like in the infraspinatus and other little areas like that. So you want to target it directly. And that's my answer, man. You get healthy in all those respects, it's going to help your athletic training. Hope it helped. Whew. Pablo Valero, thank you for the donation. You didn't even ask me a question. Where'd you get your bands from? Many spots. Rogue Fitness is where I got my initial pair. I then upgraded to Iron Bull Strength because they were cheaper. So I got that off Amazon. I know that Scott Herman really recommends their stuff as well. So the truth is they're all made in the same spot. Whether you buy from Elite FTS, Westside. Oh, I also bought Elite FTS ones. All the same thing. Just get the right stats. So 41 inches in length. And just know what you're lifting. Okay? It's very important. So when I say a mini band or a monster mini band, you should know what those tensions are. It doesn't matter what company you bought them from. All right. Super chat. Robert B. How do you feel about reverse grip bench pressing in the Smith machine for hypertrophy? Shoulders are a little banged up for context. See, I'm biased against the Smith machine. It's hard for me to recommend it, to be honest with you, because you're moving in a unnatural way. And when you have an injury, sure, you can work around it. And if you're not getting any pain from the reverse grip bench, it's probably better than not doing anything. But you're teaching an improper movement pattern. Like, it's really messed up in this case, because the reverse grip bench has its unique bar path by itself. And with a Smith machine, let me just say it like this. With a free weighted reverse grip bench, you're pressing towards your balls. On a Smith machine, it kind of becomes a JM press hybrid. You're not really pressing low. And in general, when you start to come up, the way your arms move is completely different from a pronated bench. So just off that, it's going to distort the movement on your regular reverse grip pressing. Now, if you don't care about that lift, fine, do it. But I just have a hard time recommending it. I would think a weighted push-up would be a far better choice, because now you can get the range of motion that you set based off how you want to arch against the floor, or you can elevate your hands a little bit on a barbell. So you set the bar in a rack and use the safety pins to adjust your body angles. Heck, even using gymnastic rings would be a great rehabilitation tool. You know, you focus on support strength, scapula control. A lot of you guys got a weak serratus, so that would be a far better choice. Calisthenics as opposed to reverse grip benching the Smith. Otherwise, if you want to do reverse grip benching, that in itself is going to feel a lot better on your body. So I hope that helps. Yo, my man Jason Casper, $200 donation. Thank you so much. You're right. Yo, Alex, I love your work, bro. I dig these live streams. You've helped me a lot over the years, bro. I'm honored to help you out. I do this for guys like you and anybody who just wants to learn about optimal programming, maximize their physiques. And you were here last time as well, showing love. Man, it'd be cool to see your transformation as well. But thanks for stopping by. If you got any questions about, strength training, ask away, bro. You're giving me these amazing donations, and I'm so grateful. Ask some questions, We can get even more personal. Let's advance you. I'll answer a long-ass question, and in turn, it'll also help the viewers. So thank you once more. Really appreciate it. Professional progression. Do you think preacher curls, dumbbell curls, and barbell curls are sufficient for a bicep workout? It's more than enough. In reality, all you really need is 1 to 2 curls in a single session. Just keeping it real with you. How many sets a week do you need for optimal gains? 10 to 20. So if I'm doing 2 curls a workout, 3 sets each, that's 6 sets twice a week. So 12 sets of direct bicep work. And then there's your compound movements which gives you indirect work, but that still counts in your workload. So if I'm doing weighted chin-ups along other exercises where the biceps will in fact be involved, then you're not actually getting 12 sets a week for biceps. It's probably closer to 15. You know, they're not going to be full sets, but it does add up. And what I like to do with bicep training is have different elements for different strength curves and biasing. So you selected preacher curls, where the arm is in front of the body, the regular dumbbell curl, and barbell curl. Those are all great, but they're also accomplishing similar tasks, if you ask me. I would personally do a barbell or a dumbbell curl. Those would be interchangeable, followed by a hammer curl for more brachialis emphasis. Then the following workout, this is where you can change the variation once more. So if you did dumbbell curls on day 1, day 2 could be barbell curls. And then instead of hammer curls, you can do a Swiss bar curl. So these are the exact same muscles that are being targeted, but you're minimizing overuse in this way. That's how I like to program. And if you needed a third exercise, well, it will be something that emphasizes the way to stretch. So an incline dumbbell curl is a great choice, where the arm is literally behind the body. So that could be day 1, day 2, a pelican curl. Or, as you suggested, a preacher curl where the arm is in front. But that's as far as I would possibly go. 3 exercises, all of which accomplish a different function. Even though, you know, elbow flexion is really what you're doing. Muscle biasing is a real factor to consider. Nikki Barnes, thank you for the super chat. I can't seem to get my shoulders to grow at all. I also can't feel them work no matter how many variants I try. And there's just no pump. What to do? How strong are you? What's your overhead press? Are you doing 225 for 1 rep max? Anywhere close to it? Can you rep your body weight? You don't find people with small shoulders who can do 3 sets of 10 with 135 to 155 full range of motion on the overhead press, especially with a pause at the bottom. Likewise, if someone's doing between 70 and 100 pounds on a full range of motion seated dumbbell press, especially without back support, you're going to have jacked shoulders. So you're talking about not getting the pump. You can't feel them. That doesn't matter if progressive overload is taking place. If you're doing a vertical press, what's the prime mover? It's going to be your shoulders and triceps. That's why you can lift so much less weight on the OHP compared to flat bench. It's not as much of a valid test. People say it's more brute, it's more manly, it's more badass, it's raw. Great. But you've taken out the chest. So if you've taken out your freaking watermelons, what's moving the weight? You already know. Now, you might be one of those guys who's getting massive triceps in the process. You're extremely arm dominant. But still, it's not possible that your shoulders won't grow over time if you're properly getting stronger. So to me, it's not about... I think you're approaching this from a bodybuilder's perspective instead of just giving yourself the time that your shoulders actually need. Getting strong as fuck, in other words. Try that out. And the conjugate system might be what you're looking for. All right. How long is your hair? Yeah. It's a few hours long. And for you guys who keep asking me about my technique, because I've been getting the question, how do you shave your head? I go against the grain. Well, first of all, I do 2 passes. First, I go this way, and I come across like that for the sides. And then I go against the grain. And I use a mirror too to see the back side. But the more experience you get, the easier it becomes. Like, you end up feeling it. And then at the very end, you touch your head, you find some spots, and you go over it, you know? And I use a double-edged safety razor because you're going to save a lot of money. Before that, I used to use the Mach 3, which is a classic disposable razor. But that shit gets expensive. and it's wasteful. So I say get yourself a pack of 100 Derby professional blades and just cut away. And use the weight of the blade to shave. Don't try to like force the shit out of it, or else you're just going to get bloody all over the place. And yes, I have cut myself a few times. Actually, you can shave off your moles doing this method. So be very careful. This is the old school way. Hit that like button. That's right, Nigel Scott. Hit the like button, everybody. I don't usually tell people to hit the like button. Yo, what's up, guys? Hit like and subscribe and the notification bell. And you'll be back for more videos. Fuck, that's cringe. Yeah, I don't do that because I just want organic feedback. If you like my shit, you'll like it. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. How do I stop emotionally eating and eating when I'm bored? Why are you emotionally eating? And why are you bored? That's the first thing I would say, Mr. Adam, and thank you for the super chat. Usually boredom is a sign that you're not really doing much. So I would get productive. And that'll get your mind off the food right off the bat. Like when you're reading a book, you're not thinking about food as much. Or if you're listening to a lecture, unless you're one of those guys who likes to bring chips to the lecture, where you just have food every time you freaking gotta do something. Don't be like that, right? Just get absorbed in the material. Lose yourself, right? And that's gonna help a lot with the craving kick that you get. So it hits in, you direct your attention somewhere else, and then 5-10 minutes later, you're okay. Another strategy is actually gaming, believe it or not. And I'll admit, this is one of the secrets in me getting shredded. Towards the very end, your hunger hits a level where it's just too much. You can't handle it. You're going crazy. You're losing your mind. You have massive insomnia. It's so unbearable. Gaming gets your mind off that. So I think you just got to be more busy, and the boredom will take care of those little cravings. And in terms of emotional eating, I don't really know what to say to that, other than the fact that you just got to be disciplined. This isn't about emotions. It's about staying logical and doing what you have to do. And with this, Chronometer or MyFitnessPal are great tools. Track your food. Keep yourself accountable. You're not eating for pleasure. There's a time and place for that. That's when you go out, when you go to people's houses, or you're having a cheat meal. Or if you want to emotionally eat, you look up some recipes. That's pretty emotional. Get connected with the viewer. I mean, the creator. Because they usually have likable personalities and they make good food. And now you can make it for yourself. Hell, make some food with your girl. That's fun. Cook together, laugh together, eat it together. That's what's up. And that'll fulfill all the emotions because it tastes good and you feel good. So hope that helped you out. You need moderators, lol. I guess. I don't know. With a channel size like this, we got a lot of people in here, so it's going to look a little bit spammy. Yeah, we got a lot of questions. I don't mind it. Because I'm still... Like, I can't answer every single question regardless if we're going at this pace. So I still have to go individual one by one. So just keep posting. You don't have to keep doing Control-V. I'll get to it when I can. But yeah, I don't think we need other people here. Have you been in a fight? When I was in grade 5. It was a really stupid incident, actually. So my buddies and I'm from Canada, so we get a lot of snow here. We were rolling these snowballs for days. And we ended up creating this gigantic fucking snowman. And he had all, like, the base, right? The big ball, then the medium one, then the smaller one. Like, all the balls stacked up, okay? And the final one, we were rolling it one day. And these kids from... Actually, this was grade 6, my bad. The 5th graders showed up. And they started rolling our ball. And we started arguing with them. Yo, that's ours. We've been at this for days. This is our snowman. And they started getting very confrontational. And one dude walked up to me and he was fucking pissed to the max. Really, really, really pissed. He wanted that snowball more than anybody else. And out of nowhere, he just sucker punched me. Boom. And the moment that happened, I turned into psycho mode. And I started beating the shit out of him. And he was on the floor. You know, I was just going at it. It's not fun. There's nothing proud about that. You're just kids fighting over a snowball. It's stupid. But that's what happened. And the teacher grabbed me from behind my back like this. And I was like, ah! You know, they were pulling me away. Now, when I got to the office, we were both, just the two of us. I explained the story. There were witnesses. And guess what? I didn't get in trouble. But that kid, I think he got 3 to 5 detentions, somewhere in that range. Self-defense. Back then, when you were a kid and you took care of yourself, you didn't get in trouble. But these days, it appears to be the fucking opposite. You can't even stand up for yourself. But yeah, that's what happened when I was in grade 6. It's stupid. Funny story. After that, I've done some sparring, you know, with kickboxing, regular boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I would always fight older guys. And that was tough because I was like 120 something pounds and they were a lot bigger and heavier than me. And, you know, when you're on the floor and they're just fucking pounding you in, like, it's hard to defend yourself like that. But that's just sparring, you know? It was enjoyable. So there's your story of the day, guys. Is lifting Kashiwa Daisuke. Thank you for your super chat. Is lifting your head during the lowering portion of the bench press like geared powerlifters problematic? I find it more comfortable for some reason. Good luck with the virus situation in Quebec. Thank you, brother. And if you're there too, you know what's up. And if not, hey, I appreciate your love from wherever you are. Now, is it a problem? It depends on your bar path, right? And everyone has a different benching position, but from what I've seen, most raw lifters don't do this anymore. They stay very tight in their upper back to the point where they're literally on their traps and they're locked in like a wrestler bridge. So instead of keeping your head, instead of keeping your head off like this, like you're tucking your chin, you actually want to push your head hard, like back into the freaking bench. And that's going to give you a much better arch, and you should be tighter as a whole. So I think you're going to be stronger not using that form. When you lower yourself down like this, I find it's for guys who do those sinking benches. So I suppose the only exception would be for something like a Larson press, where if you're not bringing the bar really high up, and there tends to be a natural tendency for that, you can lower your face a bit. Even the Swiss bar bench, because now your arms are naturally lower. Same thing for the reverse grip bench. So I suppose any exercise that changes the bar path, such that you're pressing a lot lower towards your feet, which is kind of what you see in geared powerlifters. They always talk about pressing in a straight line instead of back towards you. Then you can argue that form's a little bit more specific. But for general raw work, maximizing your performance, usually you're going to touch like slightly lower, let's say around your upper ab area. Then as you come up, you're going to start to flare a little bit back. You don't drift it here, but you're not pressing this way. It comes out a little bit. And that's something I figured out with years of just maxing out on the bench. Like, you find out what your ideal leverages are. And in this case, it appears that the raw powerlifting community was correct. You don't actually want to do this shit, you know? So yeah, hope to help you out. Are you still mad about the snowman? Nah, man, it's just a funny story. Shaved head, fully recovered. Absolutely, bro. I feel absolutely fantastic. Every single workout, bro. It's amazing. Muscle memory is powerful. And my pound for pound strength is amazing right now. Like, if I keep this up, I'm going to probably have a 4 or 5 bench in the 170s. Like low to mid. I probably won't even have to go above 175-ish. But that's if I keep myself in check. I can't allow myself to get too fat. You know? That's going good. Thank you, man. All right. My man Jason. I'm happy you asked me a question. Thank you for the $50 super chat. Hey, Alex. I'm a tall guy, 6'3", 210. I have a very developed upper body, but my legs look like crap. My lower body work consists of variations, squats and deads, reverse hypers, leg press, lunges, and single leg work. I train hard. Any tips? Well, my friend, you're doing all the best exercises. However, when you talk about your legs, which area are you referring to? The quads or the glutes and hamstrings? That makes a difference. I'm going to assume you're referring to lacking the tree trunk action. Maybe your glutes, you're not talking about that as your legs because it's the backside, right? It's just you want bigger legs and pants, for example. The measurement over here. In that case, you're probably going to want to do more quad bias exercises. So I recently made a video discussing the best squats for quads. If you're doing a low bar wide stance squat, I would change that to a high bar heel elevated squat. And to accomplish that, the two best ways, one is by wearing actual elevator shoes or Olympic weightlifter shoes, which will give you a slightly less degree, but it'll still be sufficient. So the range is 10 to 20, right? With the Olympic weightlifting shoes, you might be at 10. But with elevator shoes, you can creep it up to 20 without having to buy the wedges, which is the second option, right? So any squat that biases the quads is what you're looking for. And then the deadlifts, you want to make it more posterior chain, focus lower body wise. So I'll simplify it like this for you. Make your squats Make your squats squattier and your deadlifts hingier. That's the mentality for hypertrophy. So don't train like a powerlifter specificity wise, trying to lift the most amount of weight in those movements. Use the squats and deads to get bigger. That's the shift you gotta employ. And then the rep work, you don't have to do anything below 5. Keep it in the 5 to 10 rep range and just induce progressive overload. The reason why your legs probably don't look the biggest is because you're 6'3". You have to put on more muscle. You have a bigger frame. I'm a manlet, 5'5.5". So when my legs were 26 inches, they look absolutely massive because the femur isn't long. So any quad hypertrophy that occupies that space is going to look a lot more impressive than a 6'3" guy with the exact same measurement. It sucks, but it's true. That's why you don't see a lot of taller guys with the biggest, stocky looking legs. But when they do get to a certain point, it's absolutely amazing. It'll look better than the shorter guy every single time. And in general, you could say longer legs look better, right? So you might have to get to 30-inch legs. And for you, that might be possible naturally. If a shorter guy is going to end up with 16 to 17-inch arms, the taller guy might be able to do 18, 19. So if it applies to the freaking arm, the legs obviously have more potential. And there are some naturals on this platform that have acquired at least 28 inches. So I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest a number that's a little bit higher than that. Therefore, you have to raise your standard in terms of what you're going to achieve. And then you have to use the most biased form possible on your squats and deadlifts. So don't do sumo deadlifts for hypertrophy, just to say. Favor a low handle trap bar deadlift if you're talking about dead stop. Particularly off a deficit. Favor your RDLs, full range of motion. You want to do exercises that put you in extreme ranges of motion rather than trying to use the most favorable leverages for your build. You're not trying to express strength, you're building it. Then you mentioned reverse hypers, leg press, and lunges, single leg work. That's all great. Again, you have to get stronger on that too. The reverse hyper, though, there's a lot of momentum that comes into play. And maybe you're not really pushing the exercise close to failure because there's so much swinging involved, and you could just rep it out, no problem, for 20, easy, while maxing out your machine. So for mine, I have the Westside Scout Hyper. It's a foldable device, which I actually recommend. But the only limitation is that you will max out that thing very fast. And it's kind of a problem. To the point where the reverse hyper doesn't really become the best carryover exercise or efficient exercise for hypertrophy. So if you're doing 4 plates per side, which is literally all you can do on this lift, you might be able to get between 30 and 50 reps after a certain point. Like, keep in mind, I'm deadlifting somewhere in the mid 500s, maybe even low 6s if I tried it. I don't know where I'm at. I think I'm going to test it soon. But when you max that thing out, it's high rep city all the way. So you have to use it as a compensation strategy. At the end of your program, just burn it out. And then the momentum kind of makes it hard to judge what you're actually building, right? So when you're doing reverse hypers for hypertrophy, I would actually slow down the form, do some pause at the top, really squeeze your butt, round and extend, get your feet as far up in front of your body and your legs as far back. And just control the movement. Don't use it as a prehab builder, the traditional form where the guys just let it do this, you know? And those should be a lot better for size. Finally, you should do deficit lunges as opposed to regular lunges, just to increase the range of motion. For the quads, more knee flexion is always a good thing. And you're going to get a better stretch on your glute. As far as single leg work is concerned, well, that's pretty much included. Single leg press is a good exercise. But one thing to factor in is stability concerns, right? Good hypertrophy movements are naturally stable. And that's why I don't do pistol squats anymore. The balance component will limit the muscular potential gains because you have a reduced force output, and it's not because of a lack of leg strength. And so the step up might be a better tool compared to the pistol squat. But in general, if you can do single leg work, it's also good to have something that you can grab onto, but not use your arms for assistance. So kind of like a Hatfield version. Like if you're doing the belt squat, right? You have your arms out in front of you on that little bar, right? You can do the same thing with lunges. And even step-ups. You can have the plow box right in front of you, the bar is above. So anything that allows you to be more stable is going to be better for hypertrophy. And with that said, you should be pretty good given the things that you asked me. I hope I was clear, in going over those little points. I'd also point you to N1 Education. Coach Cassim has a lot of good exercises for biasing certain muscles and showing you how to get more out of less weight. So much love again. Thank you for the donations. And I'll see you around. All right. Do you prefer having bald or having hair? I think most people prefer having hair. But when you're already balding, it's hard to say what's better. So if I was a Norwood 1 and I had a tight skin fade, I think I would probably prefer that, Or if I had a really good SMP job done. Possibly. But when you're Norwood 2.5, like me, I don't think I'm full-blown 3 yet, And you got some thinning in the back, and your hair is just constantly going away as the years pass by, and you're not trying to sort it out with medication. That can take a toll on you mentally. And even though it looks fine, you know that it's only getting worse. So the constant worry about your hairline, the wind making it look all fucked up, you're constantly trying to manage your hair. Like, that stuff is not fun. Like, this is why the hair loss industry it's a $1 billion industry, to my knowledge. And a lot of people are on finasteride and minoxidil and they get hair transplants. It's a real thing. But I don't plan on doing that, So I'd rather just shave it, bro. That's it, Plus I got the perfect head shape. I started shaving it when I was like 17 to 19 years old, in that range. I did it for choice, bro. Just because it looked good. I get that's not everybody. In that case, you can do treatment, but I think I rock it. And everybody I know in real life says the same thing. So it goes both ways. I do enjoy it. And when you shave your head, it's very relaxing. It's like a nice way to start the day. You feel good. You look the same every time. Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask you guys to stop asking the question, do you kick puppies? Come on. Well, my response to that will be, I like cats better. I'm a cat man. Now, that doesn't mean I kick puppies, but, we got our preferences. So don't ask that again, or else there's going to be consequences. Do you like men or women? Women. And I'm in a long-term relationship. Do you still eat a whole food plant-based diet? Not 100%, but primarily yes, because I do believe it's the best way to eat for health. These days, I more so employ a blue zones approach, and not because I believe it to be superior to a 100% approach. I do it out of convenience and just because I enjoy it. I know it's selfish. I know it's ethically wrong. You're not going to get a debate out of me because there's nothing for me to say. And I watch pretty much exclusively vegan channels for nutrition advice. I'm not ethically motivated in that way. But I recognize the health implications, absolutely. All right. You tried derma rolling? Yeah, man. I've done everything, including topical saw palmetto, which I have, but I never finished the thing. I've done castor oil, minoxidil. The only thing I haven't done is finasteride, and I refuse to do it because of possible epigenetic changes. And I might actually, even though I'm shaving my head now, I also want to grow a really big beard in the process. I might grow it back a little bit, Like I'm not full on bald yet, so I can still rock hair for a few more years. I don't know how much longer, but hey, we'll see. Shafaf Hussein, much love. Thank you for the super chat. I get inspired on YouTube, seeing calisthenics athletes doing crazy things on the bar, like muscle up 360, roll, freestyle, etc. Are those sustainable past 30s, 40s, and good for health and joints? Well, keep in mind, this is a different world, right? There's a lot of technique involved with this, and if you look at the physiques of many of these people, they're generally on the skinnier side, very ripped, but not the biggest, which makes sense. Much of it is just momentum and illusion. Kipping is very common. So you don't really have to be the biggest or strongest guy to do that. That means it is realistic. You can do that. My concern, however, it wouldn't be the joints. I think plyometrics are fine, especially if you're running a program that minimizes overuse. Keep in mind, you can do this, this is not going to be what you do every single time you go in the gym. You're probably going to stick to the fundamentals. You're going to include some, practice work on the freestyling, but that's mostly for demonstration purposes when you show up to one of these gatherings, right? So based off that fact, I think your joints will be fine. But the act itself of doing these moves is problematic, in my view, because you can fall down and crack your fucking head open or break a wrist, land directly on it. Just to say, one of my worst injuries ever was through doing parkour when I was younger, and I have a permanently damaged wrist hand area for life. I was doing a wall run, a one-arm wall run, and as I grabbed onto the ledge, I fell sideways, from a pretty high height, and I fell directly on my hand, not even on my body, bro. And I was completely fucked. And now, you will not be able to see this on video, but this bone protrudes, literally. And my wrist is permanently bent. I think it's either more this way or more that way. And what it's done, I believe, it's caused imbalances over the years. This is the reason why I can do one-arm pull-ups on my left side a little bit easier. You can call it a blessing in that way. It's changed my leverages a bit. When I do flexion exercises, any pull, My left side's stronger, but I'm not left-handed. Now you guys are like, yo, I want this injury too. It's you know, it's still a deformity. You don't want that. And you're going to be in pain for some weeks, you know, maybe even months. You got to build back up, you know. So just off the fact you can fall down and even die, like if you're doing a 360 muscle up, you hit your head on the fucking bar and then you fall backwards, smash your head, that's not going to be fun. And one guy I follow, his name is Derek Woss, Calisthenics. I feel bad for him because he started off the new year by doing backflips and he ended up hitting his head. And now he has a massive scar and stitches all the way here. And he won't be able to do what he wants for some time. And it's just really sucky, and I wish the best for him. So to me, the increased injury risk is absolutely not worth it. But whether or not it's possible to do, absolutely. I can probably do that right now, and I've never trained for any of that stuff. Because if you're strong enough on bars, this is easy. Like, this is stuff that gymnasts would laugh at, you know? Not that it's not cool and stuff. But yeah, you can totally do it, man, for sure. MXer351, thank you for the super chat. Hey Alex, been following your video since the West of West Side video, which was kick ass. That's a long time, dude. Like 2014, 2015. Want to increase bench from 325 to 350. What advice would you give? You see? My long-term followers are strong motherfuckers. And I don't think you're a genetic freak. I mean, you could be, but it's cause and effect. You guys follow Alpha Destiny for years, you're going to get strong. We don't play over here. I'm all about information, and I'm doing that right now with you. It's all about the nuance. All right. How do you get your bench from 325 to 350? First of all, gain some weight. That's one of the best prescriptions I can possibly give you. Bear mode. No, but for real. You may have noticed that it gets harder when you pass 3 plates. And that's because of the absolute load on your recovery. Now, my friend, is the time to start thinking about stimulus to fatigue. You've hit that point. So instead of just hammering the regular bench more and more, you want to do exercise that give you more out of less weight. So the complete opposite mentality of trying to hit the 300s constantly. No, you want to be in the low 200s preferably. Yeah, I'm serious when I say that. I would do exercises like the Larson press. Make that one of your fundamental movements. And that should cut you right back down to the low 200s. You'll struggle to do 2 plates for 3x10, especially with a close grip. And then the next step would be introducing longer pauses. So completely drop your touch and go. I don't even do it anymore, just to say. 0. You're going to want to switch to all pause benching. And if you really want to get more or less weight and blow up those pecs, you want some freaking, I was going to say watermelon action, but I keep using that term. So if you want to just get really swole over here, hold it for around 3 seconds. And that's going to have a lot of time and attention in the most difficult position. So there's tiers to this. There's levels of increased difficulty. The competition bench is your easiest way of benching, right? You're going as wide as you possibly can. Your arm is not going as far back, right? Now you have a different mentality. You're trying to get the arm really past the body, or at least parallel, right? So you do exercise that give you worse leverages, like the Larson press, the 3-count pause bench. And then there's the introduction of specialty barbells. The Swiss bar is absolutely brutal. For me, there is about a 30 to 40 pound difference, depending. And the carryover is 1-to-1. So you doing 325, I would bet you can't do 300 on the Swiss bar. Your 1 rep max is probably between 275 and 295 on that thing. And by extension, let's say you're smack in the middle. So 285 at 70%. So you'd be doing about 200 pounds for rep work. And you bench over 3 plates. You see what I'm saying? That's what it means to get more out of less weight. You do the hard stuff, which gives you the same stimulation effect. But now it has a lot less fatigue. So you can recover from it. And then when you start doing the regular bench again, you should go right past that 325. That's how you're going to train differently and get real results. And I guarantee that 350 could happen in this context. So thank you, OG, and I hope that helps you out. Get political for a second. Nah, I'm not going to get political. I'll get personal with you, but I'm not going to talk about my views. But it should be clear, I'm a very stoic person. So that says a lot about my political beliefs, but I'm not black and white. I'm not married to a particular ideology. There's spectrums to this shit, you know? But I'm not going to tell you where exactly I stand. But I do listen to every possible side. I'm very objective in that way. Although this isn't really objective. I'm logical. Let me just say that. Thoughts on the carnivore diet? I don't like that diet, man. I think it's invented by marketing frauds. And that's not the diet that's going to reverse heart disease. Everyone says, oh, I feel great, but they have... their blood work doesn't reflect that. Or they're in denial of some of the factors, like increased LDL cholesterol. They're like, oh, it doesn't matter if in the absence of carbohydrates because of the Randall cycle. I've heard your fucking arguments. I don't believe in that. Whole food plant-based nutrition, or adopting more so of an approach in that way. Like a Blue Zone's, let's say 80% plant-based approach. There you go. All right. You need moderators, bro. Yeah, maybe. But it's okay. Like, maybe you could say it's even better that we're less people, because now I can answer your questions a little bit better. All right. Omnivore diet, meat and plants is better. Absolutely, bro. If you're comparing it to the carnivore diet. Like, why would you restrict foods that have been proven to have anti-cancer benefits? Doesn't make sense. And if you're going to do an omnivorous diet, lean towards pescatarianism. And also try to reduce your saturated fat and cholesterol intake. So have egg whites instead of whole eggs. This is not bro science. What the fraudsters are telling you, to have the whole egg, that is. It doesn't agree with the main body of evidence. This is telling you what you actually need to hear. The real shit. I'm not biased. I look at the evidence. But I know a lot of guys don't agree with my nutrition information. But that's on you, bro. Just know that the evidence is on my side. The overwhelming majority of nutritional professionals, they side with me on this. I'm just saying. I'm not the underdog in this discussion. All right, enough about that. Why do my knees internally rotate whenever I squat? Is it a bad thing? So a lot of Olympic weightlifters actually do this. Some have argued that it's not a bad thing at all. But usually if you're having this issue, it's probably related to your adductors. How to bulk up without feeling slumped after high carb meals. How to bulk without feeling... Okay. So, what carbohydrates are you consuming? If it's purple sweet potatoes, you should feel pretty darn good and ready to crush a workout. But if you're having Pop-Tarts, like, that's not the same. Basically, look at the micronutrient profile of these carbohydrates. And that'll say a lot about your diet as a whole. When it comes from whole grains, beans, oh yeah, fruits, and even then, if you're having these foods, the way you prepare it makes it different. Chewing your food is better than blending it up. The only exception would be, what's that vegetable called? Leeks. It's better to chop that up. Same thing, for garlic. Don't just swallow it raw. Yeah, you want to chew on it if you're having it like that. But yeah, basically, you just want to eat better sources of food. That's it. And some have said to pair that with a fat source. Okay, Luigi, have you ever heard of Paul Carter disproving scapular traction on the bench? You still advocate for it? The thing is, they didn't disprove it, right? They expressed their opinion about stability with that, which is, there's a lot of, okay, there's a lot of nuance in this discussion, right? Like, if you're going to do 1 rep max benches, are you going to do a no scap retraction bench? Probably not. Are you trying? If you're trying to lift the most amount of weight, you're not going to do it. And if you do attempt to use that form they're talking about, your shoulders might hurt like hell. And just to say, I'm someone who follows a maximized program. You see me bench 4 plates, no shoulder pain, no pec tears, no problems at all, none. If I use that flat back style, and keep in mind I'm used to heavy weighted stretch, weighted dips, right? My shoulders don't feel good. At all. Now you could say I need to give myself more time, but I find that when I retract and then protract, it's perfect. So I would agree on the protraction part, but not the retraction. I find that when you dig your upper back into the bench and you roll the bar to your chest, you use your upper back to really keep you tight. To me, that creates stability. But again, I understand their argument, but I would more so approach it that way with exercises like the push-up, not the bench where you're constricted by the bench. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you want to press like that and it doesn't hurt you, go right ahead. But it just doesn't feel right on me. So I'm not going to mess with it. Have you ever thought about hopping on gear? I don't think about those things. I'm not going to get on steroids. I have 0 plans. I believe in the natural message. And my thoughts about most steroid users are not positive. So I'm going to try not to be confrontational. But like, my perspective is very similar to natural hypertrophies. This is why I like the guy so much and why I resonate with his content and why I interviewed him. We're very alike in our ways of thinking. So many would actually call me a natural elitist. And I'd be proud in saying I am. Absolutely. I look up to the old school legends. The old school strongmen, the bodybuilders. And natural achievements as a whole. Like, to me, Freaky D and his benching performance is far more impressive than these juice heads doing 600, even 700 pounds. Yeah. If you can bench 550 as a natural, to me, that's more impressive than a 700-pound guy doing it with steroids. If a guy benches 405 naturally, that's more impressive than a guy doing 500 on juice. To me. If a guy squats 545 natty, that's more impressive than a 700 squat on juice. To me. You deadlift 700 pounds as a natty, that's more impressive than a 1,000-pound deadlift if you're on juice. To me. You get where I think? I don't relate to these guys. I don't watch them. I get 0 motivation when I watch them. And I think if a lot of you are honest, you'll probably agree with me too. Thoughts on JPG coaching? I've never seen any of his material, like 0. But apparently there's a lot of skinny guys that follow his material. I don't know. People like to make fun of some of the stuff he does. But I am aware that there was controversy with him and Paul Carter. Apparently he was plagiarizing off of Paul's work. And in that case, I would have to say the advice is probably good because Paul gives excellent information. But it's not his own information, this guy, if that's what it is. Now, again, I know absolutely nothing about this dude. 0. I don't even know what he looks like or what his following base is like. I know nothing. But I do know there was controversy with Paul. So I don't think that's cool if he's deleting comments about that and he's not addressing the topic head on, if he's just misleading his audience in that way. He's huge on TikTok and sells hundreds a month programs and not natural, though I don't know if he claimed natty. Well, that's not a good sign right there. So there you go. If you got to plagiarize and you're doing all that shit, it says a lot, right? But again, I don't know the guy. But one thing I'll say in general is that TikTok fitness is absolute fucking garbage. There's a reason why I'm not on it. Maybe I should go on it, though, just so I could talk shit. Or not. I'm not like that. I'm so like, I don't care. I'm just focusing on giving you information. I'm not going to use their strategies. Just give you the best advice that you need to succeed. You know, we're over here. We're talking today. Go look at his fucking content. You know nothing about him. You're right. I know nothing about the guy. But apparently he plagiarized, from what I heard, by a man that I greatly respect, who's been in the industry for over 20 years. I can check him out. But I'll just say, yeah, TikTok, man, I'm not impressed with what I've seen so far. Fran Yest, are you going to keep the shave look? You're the man. Yo, thank you for super chat. And to answer your question, I'm going to roll with it for now. I want to grow my beard out more. I think it would be cool to get it bigger than last year while also having the shaved head. So around February, March, probably around March realistically, it should be like pretty big, right? And with like a clean shaven head, that's going to be a hard look. So I'm very curious to see how that would look like. So based off that alone, I'm going to shave it. And, you know, I've gotten used to it. It's relaxing. I enjoy it. And I look good with the shaved head. So maybe if I do plan on growing it back again, the hair, it's going to be as it starts to get warmer. Or I'll just keep this for life. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. What do you guys think? Should I keep the shaved head or grow out this hair? Do I look better bald or with hair? Fresh out the barber or freshly shaved? Keep the shaved head, it looks sick. Grow the hair, keep it. Bald, shaved is badass. I think the shave is better, buzz cut. Lex Luthor, military style. Shave looks sexy, you rock it. Bald makes the neck look thicker. It's true, you do look more yoked when you got a shaved head. The comb over look good, yeah. Okay, cool to hear, guys. So it's pretty mixed. Put some baby oil on that bald head. Yeah, I put some aloe vera gel. I don't want to put baby oil on it. It's just hair. Yeah, stubble, bro. Stubble or SMP, you know what I'm saying? Best way to grow your arms. You got to get strong in the compound movements primarily. And the ratio for that is going to be different for every individual. But just to say, when I did a 380 close grip bench press, my arms were 16 and a half inches. But before I had that, they were around 16.2. So they gained like 0.3 by getting stronger as a whole. Which you can also say, well, I was doing extensions, push downs. I was doing exercises to raise the close grip bench. But regardless, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the building. I'm using the numbers to demonstrate progression. So it's not that you doing close grip bench gave you bigger tries. It's that having a bigger close grip bench is evidence of you having bigger tries. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, just get strong, bro. Super chat. My man, do you still think 2 days per week, full body is solid for muscle gains? How have your opinions changed over the years? Absolutely, man. It's all about what works with your schedule. And I gained a tremendous amount of size running that program. Like most of my workouts, 2016, 2017, it was on that template. And I got really, really strong with those methods. Like you can go back to those older workout videos. I was putting up some serious numbers back then. And if I would have continued that, like just to say, if I would have never stopped the twice a week full body, my legs would have been a lot bigger today while being much stronger. It never stopped working. And I suppose the downside for me was that switching to an upper lower. Well, actually, no. I was going to say I got lazy over the years. And then by switching to an upper lower, I started skipping the lower days completely. So it just became upper body days. But look, does it still work? Twice a week full body? Yeah. It's the main prescription for naturally enhanced, though I do include a full body 3 times a week and the upper lower. But I would say that it's nothing magical. It's just a time-saving schedule. It's convenient for your schedule, basically. So if I come in Monday and Thursday, that's the same muscle protein synthesis as doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday on an upper lower. Just that now I'm cramming everything into one session. The implications of that is, of course, you need to have the work capacity to handle it. Otherwise, you won't be able to handle the session. But that's why I talk about GPP. Doing that on the off days, making sure that you're physically fit enough to handle the full body sessions. And then I discuss supersets, giant sets, certain strategies that speed up your workout, but also require you to be fit simultaneously. And then we pick exercises that are like the fundamentals. We're not wasting our time with junk volume. We might do 1 to 2 compound movements per body part with a few isolations at the end. It's very efficient, you know what I'm saying? So as long as you can handle it and it works for your lifestyle, you do full body twice a week, GPP 2 times a week, you're set. But am I running that right now? No. Upper lower. And the reason is that I've hit a certain point right now where, first of all, I have a home gym. So there's no need for me to suffer doing a full body workout, because you do suffer, trust me. And secondly, I need to bring up these legs because they have fallen back so hard compared to my bench. The ratio is completely distorted. I have an elite bench, not an elite lower body, except for maybe deadlifts. That needs to be really focused on. And the only way I'm going to do that is by training legs on their own day twice a week. If I get stronger, maybe I can go back to the twice a week full body. But as of right now, I need that extra work. But in terms of opinions on, could you run the full body twice a week? Yo, it works. Nothing wrong with it, man. All right. Had a question right here. Message retracted. Oh, well, thank you for the super chat, man. I don't know why your thing was retracted, though. Fuck, there was a guy's question that got deleted. He said he had bad genetics, and his weight was 235. And maybe, I think now he was 255. And what do you do with that? I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what you asked me. But I would say that that's not evidence of bad genetics at all. It could just be that you haven't found the right diet for you. So assuming you're not a tall man and you weigh that much, it's never too late to get lean. It may take a lot of time, perhaps a year-long cut, to get down to being to where you want to be. It's not going to happen right away. So if you're cutting for 2 months and you still look fat, and you're like, oh, screw this, and then you just keep hovering around that range of 230 to 255, well, then it's not genetics. It's just you giving up. And so I know it can be frustrating when you see people with abs in the fitness community, shredded status all the time. And in general, the bodies out here are constantly getting more intense. Body dysmorphia is an all-time high. And you're looking at yourself like, fudge, I'm not aesthetic, I'm way too heavy, this ain't it. But know that you can probably recomp effectively right now because you had a higher body fat. So that's the good news in all this. You won't have to bulk because you already did the bulk. Therefore, burn fat, build muscle, it's going to go well for a long time, my friend. So by the time you get down to 200, that's a good place to be in. Really good place. And you'll look a lot better compared to 255. Bro, every 20 pounds of weight loss changes your physique like you wouldn't even believe it. It's why the most impressive transformations are when really big guys get lean. Or If you're lean, then you get shredded. That's usually 20 pounds. Yeah. There's always more fat to lose, basically. But just being fluffier, that's not evidence of being cursed. It might be evidence that you have a big appetite, but that's about it. You have more control over your diet than probably how you respond to training, to be honest with you. Yeah. You can get shredded easier than you can get a 4 or 5 bench. It took me 6 months to do it. How long did it take to get my strength numbers? Years and years of grinding. That's the difference. So don't worry about your body fat. Just put in the work. Things will turn around for you. All right. Do you have tips for dealing with anxiety? You seem to have it years ago, but got completely over it. By the way, been watching since I was 17, now 23. Thank you. Thank you for super chat, Gus. Yeah, I used to have that. And I think much of it came from just being young and not having much life experience at all, as well as possibly caring too much of what others thought and having a big ego, not being humbled. So I always say the world will humble you at one point. And when that happens, you'll realize you've been behaving like an absolute idiot. You were the fool in all this. So oftentimes we cause our own anxiety because we think we're self-entitled pussies. In many cases. I'm not pointing that at you. I'm just saying. For me, I just had to realize that, I'm just an average dude. And I just gotta stop caring about what's out here, what people say. You gotta hit that point where you truly do not give a fuck. And that takes a long time. For me, it's just come naturally as I've lived through my life. And of course, being an influencer, you get a lot of comments. You kind of get desensitized. You hear some things. And also, sometimes you get comments that are truthful. And if you leave your ego aside and take in what that person's trying to tell you, they could be bashing you. But behind every insult, there's two things, right? A little bit of projection on their part, as well as possible truth directed to you. Basically, when you logically understand what's happening with other people, you can get into their head. It makes you realize that everybody's got problems. A lot of us are fucked up. And instead of being mad at those people or getting anxious over it, just be empathetic. Or just walk away, because there's not much you can really do. You can't help someone that won't help themselves. So I think in my case, it was walking on eggshells, trying to be right all the time, and that's what created the anxiety, as well as being a very introverted person. So getting out more, forcing yourself to do it, being uncomfortable, you got to do it. And what you realize is that most of your fears that were crippling you for all these years didn't mean shit. It was a complete waste of time. All that anxiety for nothing. It took the aftermath to realize that. Most of our problems are first world problems. People have it much worse than us. And it just takes a little bit of just suffering, but self-induced suffering, to understand that. And then when you read the works of Marcus Aurelius, you get a grasp of Stoicism. That solidifies the entire process. Everything that you're going through in your life, it combines into one. And you're like, wow, all this shit I'm worrying about, it doesn't even matter. It really, really doesn't. And these days, my approach is just, I don't care what happens. It might even be bad. I don't care about many things, because I realize most of these things we worry about are outside our control. And worrying doesn't change anything. It really doesn't. You're getting mad for the end result that was still going to happen. So why get mad at all? You have to have a fuck it mentality. I don't care. Not that you're trying to be edgy, but I think, like, just to say, Marcus Aurelius, his approach is, like, when people talk about death, he says, I forget the exact wording, but I'll face it when I meet it. Done. So you're not stressing about your lifespan. You're just trying to maximize your nutrition, lead a healthy lifestyle, know you can get run over by a car tomorrow. You don't stress about these things. You just live your life, you do what you got to do. And just by getting rid of all that worry, you just focus on the process. Things that you do have control over, it's in your own power. You're good, you know? So honestly, it goes back to forgetting about the external world. That's it. And that's what's helped me with my anxiety. These days, I honestly don't have it. I'm super chill about everything. Nothing really gets me riled up. I see people getting so emotional. They raise the tone of their voice, but in a way that, like, you can see they're greatly offended. They're fucking mad. They're, like, deeply offended by it. Why getting offended? You know? So, I hope something I said was helpful in that. I kind of just rambled about a bunch of stuff, but you're definitely going to want to do some research on Stoicism. That's been the single most important thing that's changed my life. And what I'll also mention, which encompasses all this, is that I've said this in other podcasts, but your worst nightmare is oftentimes your greatest blessing in disguise. You're going to hate every moment of it. You're going to get some dark thoughts. Be very unhappy, depressed. We all go through it. But if you don't give in, you keep grinding through the pain, you're going to come out a better man. One that's far less anxious. I can guarantee you that. That's been my experience and what many other guys will tell you. We're even seeing this comment section right here. So I hope that was helpful, man. Alright. I had a question by a guy. It was like a $20 super chat. I'm sorry, dude. Is there a way for me to go back? I'm so sorry, man. Yo, for anybody that I missed their super chat, please send me an email or write repost in the comment section. I'm trying to answer all of them, but we're getting so many questions over here, you know? There's all you guys in the comments, and then the super chats pop up. I answer them, but then for some reason, YouTube gets rid of them. And I don't understand why they do that. They should just keep it up there, and I should have the right to click off. So I apologize to that guy. Please repost it, man. He had the orange super chat before. Okay. This guy right here. Manbhav Kumar. Which sources did you learn periodization suggest? Okay. Well, most of the sources I learned from didn't actually talk about the periodization style I use these days. So let me just say that up front. A lot of the material out there is on linear periodization, block periodization, the traditional stuff that mainstream strength coaches will prescribe. And that absolutely works. But for me, I'm team conjugate, or in general, I like daily undulating periodization, concurrent periodization. I employ reps in reserve, obviously. I love that. But my main thing is maximize programming and focusing on general strength, which isn't talked about as much because people are trying to periodize for their sport to be a better powerlifter, strongman competitor, field athlete, etc. For me, I use those periodization strategies to improve upon what I care about. So like weighted pull-ups and weighted dips, which you can actually compete in the sport of street lifting, you're not going to find periodization books on that. So you have to understand the fundamentals and then extend that to some of these sports, right? Or in general, if something is not a competition lift, you still have to understand specificity of training. So if you're trying to improve upon a trap bar deadlift, okay, what are the mechanics of that? It's a little bit more quaddy, neutral grip, you know? It involves the same muscles as a conventional deadlift, so you can train in a similar way. Basically, you have an understanding of the fundamentals, but you end up doing your own thing. So it's hard for me to recommend those books if it's not really going to help you in a way that I promote. But I can do that for you regardless. So let me pull up a list real quick. Okay. 2 seconds. All right. So Science and Practice of Strength Training is one of the best you'll ever read. It's a true classic. Can't go wrong with it. Easy to understand. A lot of the important principles are in that book. And even when we talk about the max effort method, dynamic effort method, repetition method, it's in there. The size principle, like, very important read if you ask me. Super training is one you could consider as well. I think that's where the RPE scale was first discussed. I think. But it's a bit more complicated of a read. Not all of you are going to like it. Now, Essentials of Strength and Conditioning, you need that if you want to be CSCS certified. So that's a must read if you ask me. And you don't need the certification. Just read the book for yourself to understand the material. Special Strength Training Manual for All Coaches. Science and Power in Sport. And then if you want to learn a little bit more, the Westside Barbell Book of Methods for the conjugate system directly from Louis Simmons, as well as articles and podcasts. And then Naturally Enhanced, which is my book. And that condenses a lot of the stuff into an easy to understand format where it's not overly complicated. I don't give you all the content that's in the books above. It's, you can say watered down, but really it's simplified for the common man to just get gains and program for yourself without all these headaches. But yeah, look into the conjugate system. Follow guys who promote that, like Matt Wenning, myself. Go on Instagram, look at the hashtags for conjugate. You're going to get a ton of information. All right. F Money. I got the Neck Flex MMB Pro. It's awesome, especially because I was born with neck issues. So much better now. It's like the therapy I never knew I needed. Yo, that's what's up. Oh, time is up, but we're going to keep going. Already expecting that. Yo, you see, that's what I was saying before. Another guy asked me a question at the start of this live stream, and I told him to use the Neck Flex with the bands for the overspeed eccentrics, getting extra blood flow, and now you're just confirming that right now. That's what's up. Basically, a lot of the pain that we get, it's because we're weak. People have weak lower backs. No, they have weak hip flexors, not because they're overly tight. It's because the hip flexors are weak. Instead of stretching them out to the max, why don't you strengthen them to the max? Do direct work. You know, your hanging leg raises with ankle weights, getting the monkey feet, like knees over toes guy prescribes. Even your unilateral stuff is going to build up the area. You know? So I'm happy you're using the best harness in the market, man. You're going to get jacked, and now your pain is gone. And because you had all this pain from back then, you probably weren't able to hypertrophy the neck. But now that you're able to properly do what you got to do and induce progressive overload, you're going to gain some inches. So this is just a start beyond feeling a lot better. And actually, I got the new Neck Flex. I got 3 of them, bro. The original, the MMB Pro, and then the Kevlar edition. That's a sick product. And I'm going to make a video on it soon. Stay tuned. All right. Stefan DiGiorgio. $35 super chat. Thank you very much. Hey man, I've always loved and appreciated your content. Hope the new year has been great for you. What would you say is the best protocol for body recomposition, specifically the training and setting up the calories? Well, thank you, man. So far, the new year is starting great. And in general, the end of 2021 till now has been phenomenal. Really productive. And the evolution of the natural community is taking place. We can see that clearly. We're finally getting some power up in here. And in general, the community is stronger than ever before. Now, answering your question, what's the best protocol for body recomposition? That first depends on where your body fat lies right now. The more shredded you are, the harder it is to recomp. And the more elite you are, the harder it is to do this. Therefore, the ideal candidate is somewhere between novice and intermediate that's on the fluffier side. Just to say, when I have a complete beginner who's overweight, I can tell him two things. You can either maintain or eat in a calorie surplus. And you'll effectively get stronger, workout to workout, no recovery issues, gain muscle in the process. You're literally going to recomp just off that because you have so much fat and extra reserves. That said, they'll hit a point where you can't do that effectively anymore. You'll end up running a maintenance. But you might not be super lean yet. You milk that for a little bit, then you enter the surplus. So if you were 30% body fat, got down to 15, then hit that point where it was no longer working, now you bulk up to 17, that's a great way to approach this. So the way that I look at body recomposition these days is through small bulks and cuts, all done in a lean style. Basically, you get to your ideal body fat percentage, and then there's a range that's slightly outside of that where you still look lean and healthy, you don't get out of breath, you look great, but it's going to require a little bit of a bulk to get there. So you're not actually recomping this way. You're just taking your time. You're being patient with the process. So if you get down to 12% body fat, maybe now you can do a bulk all the way up to 15 over a 3 to 6 month time frame. And it won't take long to lose that weight right after. Now, when you asked me this question, you were probably talking about the generic sense, right? Of just generally losing fat and gaining muscle year-round by, say, eating in a maintenance phase. If you're going to do it that way, it gets a little bit more tricky. I used to have a recomping guide that I gave out for free. I should probably do another one, to be honest. But I know that Jeff Nippert has one that's basically the same. And the way it works is you're fluctuating your calories throughout the week. This way you have energy to train hard, but you're actually in deficit. Also, you're in a very minor calorie deficit. So you know how some fitness influencers are saying you want to be in extremely tiny surplus, and then they call that maintenance calories? You know what I'm talking about, right? The same applies to the recomp. You're in a very small calorie deficit, which results in weight loss, but you're still gaining muscle and strength. It's just not going to be at an optimal rate. So that's another disclaimer I must state. Irrespective of training experience, it's not better than traditional bulking and cutting, which is why I prescribe lean bulking and cutting. So when you're doing it this way, it's a compromise, but the end result is still going to be good. Just the length to get there is long, right? Anyway. Along that, you'll want to introduce a refeed of some kind on the weekends. Jack up the carbs like there's no tomorrow. Eat in the calorie surplus on that day. Go hard. Because it'll allow you to come in stronger next week. You're constantly depleted when you're in deficit. You don't feel the best. It's actually hard to gain. So that weekend will lower your cortisol. You'll actually get a whoosh effect as well. Get rid of some of that extra water weight. And you're going to still come in leaner next week. Because the net calories are still in a deficit, right? I'll also say, depending if it's a training day versus not, you'll have to vary the calories accordingly. So when Chris Bumstead was preparing for the Mr. Olympia, he was eating 1,800 calories on workout days, 1,500 calories on non-workout days. That can be approached with recomping, just that you're not consuming such little calories. So you might be at 3,000 on your workout days and 2,700 on your non-workout days. You see what I'm saying? Some days you'll eat a little bit more, others less. What matters is not the daily calorie deficit or surplus, is the weekly. And then the refeed just feeds into that. That's the smartest way of going about it. Otherwise, You could just eat at maintenance calories year round, and like you hit a lean weight, you hit maintenance calories, and you pray for the best. But I don't know how that's going to work out for you after a certain point, and the gains aren't going to be as good. I think it would be in your best interest to manipulate either being a slight surplus or deficit if you're really trying to get a recomping effect, because in novices, sure, if you gain 10 pounds of muscle, you're going to see that because the overall size you gain is going to skew the body fat. But if I as an advanced lifter could only put on actually elite lifter, if I can put on 2 pounds of muscle in a year, like I don't even know how much I'm adding at this point. Like that's assuming I'm in a calorie surplus, doing everything perfectly. So for me to sabotage that potentially by just eating at maintenance, like you're not going to have much of a recompositioning effect because already the gains are so slow. That's why training experience matters in this discussion. So I hope that clarified some of the details. All right. Lucrative MMA betting. My man, bit of a topic switch. I'm a content creator too. Tips for staying consistent with content creation and running an online business in general. That's an interesting question, dude. And cheers for making videos. So I would first say that you have to find an uploading schedule that works for you. Sometimes people will want to upload every single day, and they'll do it for a few weeks before they get burnt out. And when you get into a habit of doing something, it doesn't only apply to you. It hits the viewers. Basically, they start to expect things from you. And you can't blame them for that. Like, there was a book I read years ago, and the guy was saying that he went to a barber shop once, and the barber gave him a haircut with scissors only. And he enjoyed the experience very much. He kept going there, and he would always get a haircut with scissors. And that's why he showed up. And one day he went, and the guy pulled out his clippers. Ever since then, he wasn't a return customer. Basically, whatever you put out, you're going to get a reputation for it. So if you're someone who uploads 2 or 3 times a day, every day, people are going to be checking on your page constantly. They want to see that. So if you stop doing that, they're going to be like, yo, what's up? You might start to lose some of your followers because that's what they wanted out of you. Whereas some channels have a different approach. They go for like maximum quality. They'll upload once a week or even once a month, but they put everything into it. No answer is right, except for the fact that it's got to be sustainable for you. Of course, we grind at the start. There's a certain extent to which we just force ourselves to do it, but in general, you can do that every single day. But for you to release a video that's going to be subpar quality, just because you got to get it out there, I've done that in the past. And what you'll find is it doesn't serve you algorithm-wise in the long term. Because people will tell that there's something cheap about it. That you didn't give it your all for that segment. They know when you worked really hard for that video, or if you filmed it a few hours before and just decided to like roughly upload it. Especially with certain remarks that some people make. You get what I'm saying? So, in general, I would try to upload about 2 to 4 times a week if possible. That's a good upload frequency. And look at your analytics. See what times your viewers like to watch your videos. I found that for me, it's between 10 in the morning till 6 p.m. If I upload beyond that point, even if the video is excellent, a lot of people just aren't on YouTube at that point. So I personally wait till the next day, even though the video is already done. And then running an online business, that depends on what you do. But for me, as a fitness influencer, the business is you give information. I'm in the business of helping people, and I make money off ad revenue, as well as having a program that dives into more information. And then if that's not enough, well, people can hire me directly for customized programs or online coaching. It's very simple when you do fitness, but I don't know what line of work you do. But there's always, in general, you want to have a product to sell. But if you're not, then you better be really on top of your game with the YouTube aspect. Because that doesn't usually pay as much, and it could take years to get to the point where it's actually doing really well. Like right now, my CPM is solid on YouTube. It's never been this high before, and I'm pretty comfortable just off the ad revenue. But I don't want to be dependent on that. You're losing control of your business, because YouTube could change the algorithm. They could shadow ban you. They could stop recommending your stuff. You might lose relevance too. Always possible. Even if you're putting in good work, there's phases for everything, you know? You'll have years where you do better than others. So you don't want to be dependent on it. You want to diversify. But of course, go hard on it. Have that main platform where you're going to give it your all. For me, that's YouTube, and then I throw in basic stuff on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok and Twitter. But yeah, I hope some of those tips were helpful. Can you please answer my question? The super chat right now. Weather, are you the guy? Let me see, bro. Weather. I'm doing Control F. I don't see your... Yo, repost it in the comment section, man. I'm Control F'ing you. All these spammers make my super chats go away. Yo, Weather. Come on. Post your question. No, don't pay me again, man. Thank you for support, though. Weather, bro. All right, let me ask you your question. You're getting a nice response on this one. My question: only doing close grip presses for bench and OHP. If normal grip presses give you discomfort, does that lead to weak points? Well, Weather, you're looking at a guy who exclusively does closer grip pressing. Even though I'm quote-unquote built to bench, like some people have said, though I don't think I really am. After thoroughly examining my build, I think I just have a thick, like a big rib cage and stuff. But my arms, I have more of a squatting build. But anyway, I don't do wide grip benching because it hurts my shoulders. It's never felt right from day one. No matter what my training experience level has been like, from novice till now, it feels terrible. I feel weaker every single time, and my joints just don't like it. So I don't do wide grip benching ever. You're never going to see me do wide grip bench. My stuff, the max I would possibly go to is directly at the rings, and that's with the pinky. But even then, I don't do it. I'm a thumb away from the smooths, or a little bit beyond that. That's my competition grip, quote unquote. And then the other grip I'll use is just shoulder width apart. So I might have my index in the smooths or on the knurling. But they're both very close, you know? There's about a 25 pound difference between the two. So is there a problem with doing exclusively close grip presses? No. It's actually better for your long-term joint integrity. However, when you say normal, in this context, are you talking about the grip I previously described, which is, you know, going, say, your pinkies on the rings or your index fingers on the rings? Is that normal to you? Or are you talking about the actual thumb away? Because if it's thumb away, like you're only a little bit outside shoulder width, yet you still got discomfort, that shouldn't be happening. Maybe that's a muscular weakness instead of something related to anthropometry. But if you really can't even do that, then so be it. Do close grip and that's it. But I think there's something else that needs to be addressed. But basically, there's no right answer for benching, especially if you're someone who doesn't even compete in powerlifting. Obviously, if you're going to be shoulder width apart, you know, you're not maximizing your leverages. It might be one of your worst lifts. Your squat and deadlift are going to be much higher. But now you got that enhanced longevity. Just to say, Paul Carter used to compete with a close grip, also using the false grip. So he had really sensitive shoulders. The false grip allowed him to flare out a little bit more, and the close just gave him more elbow tuck. He was able to do like 440 to 500 something with that, in that range, you know? So you can still get really strong. It just won't be the maximum weights that you could possibly lift. But assuming you're not trying to be the best, then it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's a better hypertrophy exercise, more range of motion, just that the triceps will be a little bit more of a limiting factor. And if you're asking me about chest hypertrophy as well, that's not really a concern. The humerus is going to do what it has to do. And you best believe when you lift heavy enough or just do high reps in general, your pecs are being maximally lit because there's more range of motion actually. You can do a deeper press with a close grip. So even though the triceps are being biased more, that doesn't mean you're not getting tremendous chest activation. They're still the prime mover of the bench, irrespective of grip width. So that's it, man. I'm glad I got to answer your question. All right. Andrew N. Just got my head harness from Amazon. How often and heavy should I go as a total beginner? Also, can you explain your bro science thoughts on hyperplasia? That's an interesting topic, man. So, in regards to neck training, you should probably do it 2 to 4 times a week. A really good way to start is every other day. That's it. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, or just skip the weekend. You can do it at the end of your workout or at home. The best way would be to have some plates at home. Like, you don't need a lot of heavy weight, but you do your neck work with your band stuff. When you're doing your tricep push downs on top of your door, maybe you're hitting some GPPs, some burpees, you hit in the neck at the same time, or at the end of a lower body or upper body session. Doesn't matter when you do it. Many people like to pair with their shrugs though. So it can be universally applied to upper and lower body workouts, off days, doesn't freaking matter. In terms of getting heavy with it, start with 5 pounds, maybe even 2.5 if your neck is really weak, and try reps of 20 to 25. Just learn the form, get that maximum burn. It's a small range of motion, so it's not going to take a long time to do it. So you doing 20 reps on a neck extension is like a similar duration to doing 10 reps on a dumbbell or barbell curl, time-wise. So do higher reps and don't overload the neck right now. Don't do reps of 10 or 5, jerk the weight all over the place. You don't need like crazy weights to get results. A good starting point is working up to 3 sets of 20 with a 45-pound plate. And that might take you like an entire year to do, but it's going to be slow. So you start off neck extensions, 5-pound plate. Once you're really good at that, you're throwing a 2.5. So you're at 7.5 pounds. Then you try 10. Then you go 12.5. Then you go 15. You go very, very small with this. Because when you do it this way, you're going to get less plateaus and better form. In the long run, you don't want to get snapped up with this stuff. Plus, I'm not going to bash you for this, but you got a head harness from Amazon. And I don't know what the weight capacity is on those. But in my experience, I don't know what you bought, but I bought a cheap harness years ago and it fell off my head doing neck extensions. But I think I was only doing around 90 pounds. So, well, actually that's pretty heavy, but basically if you're not going to hit anywhere close to 100 pounds, you should be okay anyway. Just do the higher reps like I said. And then you asked me hyperplasia. I believe in it as a bro scientist, you know. And what convinced me was the avian bird studies, where they basically stretched the wings of birds for 30 days straight without any rest. And they actually progressively overloaded it as well. So it was extremely unethical. You would never do that to a human being. It's psychotic. It's wrong. But those birds got freaking jacked, man. And that really inspired me to take weighted stretching to the next level. And when we bring that to rack pulls above the knee and power shrugs and all the yoke training that you saw me do back in the day, that shit fucking worked. I got really yoked. Some of the biggest traps in natty YouTube fitness, a real one. And all these years later, my traps they respond well to everything. They just refuse to shrink. Even when I got shredded, they were still in a pretty good spot. The neck, on the other hand, that will shrink. But the upper traps, they always do well. And I think it's because I stretched them out with well over 1,000 pounds. And if mechanical tension is indeed the main driver of hypertrophy, then that's an even greater rationale for doing these crazy weighted stretching overloading exercises, right? Because now the negative weighted stretch is creating failure because the weight is just so fucking heavy. Does that make sense? Basically, if I'm doing deadlifts, let's say 500 pounds for 5 reps, the weighted stretch is a side effect to the traps, but it doesn't cause failure in them in a stretching way. My posterior chain will fail. But if I'm going to do 800 pounds and I'll hit 5 reps of that, it's not necessarily that my quads just can't handle more of hitting that weight up. It could literally be that my traps just can no longer handle the weight, so it'll refuse to freaking budge it off the pins at all. That's the difference. So mechanical tension with a psychotic load that's just pulling you down, and you're not ripping anything out of its socket. That's probably my biggest bro science theory yet, but I do believe in it, and I think there was a permanent effect to doing that. My biggest rack pull was 1,140 pounds. You can't tell me that did nothing for my upper traps. It did. And I also believe it had a CNS response as well. But yeah, that would be my answer to that. Dirk Tran. Hey, Alex, why do you think people continue to fall for a sup with zero evidence and understanding of why it work? Not Turk, but every sup ever existed. I guess because people just want an easy way out, and they're just not committed to the long-term natural game. Because what you would realize is these supplements don't make a massive difference. What they really do is supplement what can already be obtained in a normal diet. Now, testosterone might be different in this respect, but to what extent are you getting like real significant gains? From what I've seen among people who've tried it, if it does help, it's very minimal. And Vitruvian Physique actually made a full video talking about why it might not be the best investment, like from a money to gains ratio perspective. Whereas creatine, on the other hand, it has solid evidence. It's been around for a long time, and it's cheap. So if you're gonna opt for something that's not normally gonna be through nutrition, then you'll want creatine. And that's why I got a question in the last Q&A. If you can pick between whey protein and creatine, what would be your choice? And I answered creatine, because it's actually something that will give you a little bit more for real. But why do people fall for these supplements? Like, because they're just young, impressionable teenagers in most cases, and they think it's actually going to make a big difference. Like, oh, if I take this substance, I'm going to get 20% more gains or 15% more gains. Not understanding that it might be as high as 1 to 3% tops, if that. Like, it's hard for me to get into this mentality because I'm not someone who really dives into this for muscle gaining and strength. I do it for health, if we're going to talk about that. Like vitamin D3, B12. Like, there's a discussion for that if we're talking about preventing nutritional deficiencies through following certain dieting practices or the potential lack of some things that's hard to get, so you can still get it in a diet, but it's difficult to obtain. There's merit when we talk about those things, but in a bodybuilding strength training context, it's like most of these things are overrated, and if you just cut it out, you probably realize you don't even need it. So let's talk about pre-workout. It's great. There's some evidence that says this combination of X substances will give you an enhanced workout. But does that mean you're going to take it every time you go to a gym? You're going to spend $50 on a pre-workout every month? That can add up. When you probably could have just bought Folgers coffee for $7.99 on Amazon and had 200 cups of coffee right there. You're going to get way more servings off that. And it's mostly the caffeine in this case that's going to give you the response to push yourself hard. So what's a better investment? Going Bugenhagen mode? Just drinking a whole pot of coffee? Or investing in all these substances that could have an effect, but is marginal at best and not even needed in the first place. Like, you buy what you want. I'm not against it. But just understand that a lot of the stuff is just preference. Or you use it as a once in a blue moon type thing. Like, I got some pre, but I rarely use the stuff. For me, it's for max PRs that are like lifetime. So with the 4-plate weighted pull-up, the 700-pound trap bar deadlift. I actually didn't use for the 405 bench. That was just straight coffee. So even then, it's not necessary, you know? And then protein is just, it supplements what you can already get through Whole Foods. And if you're on an omnivorous diet, like, you don't even need it at all. It's going to be really, really, really easy. You almost have to eat like an idiot not to get your protein. With veganism, it could obviously be done, but you got to follow a whole food plant-based diet. A variety of different whole grains and legumes. You know, you can't just be a health vegan. You know what I'm saying? You're not following Caldwell Esselstyn's diet. 80-10-10. You're jacking up that protein a little bit higher. But it's all doable. So, yeah, that'll be my response. I guess people just want an easy way out for things. Oh, and Chris, you just did a super chat. I basically just answered that. But testosterone isn't natural. And when you think of trying it during a training phase, it is natural. And I wouldn't be opposed based off that. Like, there's some other guys like Vitruvian Physique. I haven't lost any respect for him. To me, he's a lifetime natty. And if it's as ineffective as many of these people are claiming, then it doesn't really make a big difference anyway, right? So, like, I'll tell you what I do take, actually. Tongat Ali. But I don't even know if the shit works or not. I can't say I've noticed anything from taking it. It's inconsistent. Whenever I feel like it, it's just there in my drawer. Black cumin seeds, same thing. I've tried all those things. I don't really notice anything. So if testosterone is going to be another addition to that, like, I don't care. How about that? I just don't care. But thank you for super chat. Shafaf Hussein, what are your thoughts on supplements, specifically multivitamins, fish oil, vitamin D, collagen, all max protein shake for being lean, low body fat percentage, athletic physique, we're not as bulky? Okay, we're getting a lot of supplement questions. So multivitamins, if you look at the evidence, they don't actually appear to work. Yeah, bold statement. Doesn't mean you shouldn't get it. Like, especially during these times, maybe you could say it's good to have it. I bought some multivitamins here and there, but I think now I'm just going to drop them for good. Like, not buy them ever again. And just rely on 100% whole foods. Like, if you're having 5 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, and you eat foods that are rich in micronutrients as a whole, you're going to get everything that you need. Multis are not necessary. Plug your stuff in Chronometer, you'll see. There's no nutrient you won't hit, except for maybe vitamin E, if you're not putting oils on your food. That's probably the hardest one to get from what I've seen. There's another one too that I forget about. It's been a while. I usually don't look at those macros because I just trust the food. I'll count calories, not macros in most cases. Sorry, micros. Then you ask me about fish oil. Most of them are heavily polluted. And you don't need to actually have the fish oil to get the DHA, EPA, you know. Take an algae-based omega-3 supplement if you seek that. However, even that is probably unnecessary. These days, I personally have 1 to 2 tablespoons of flax with my oatmeal or whatever I choose to consume. That'll give you a good dose of omega-3s. Now, if you guys are going to argue about the conversion, it is effective, for one. But if you do believe that it's somehow not, then all you got to do is lower your fat intake. And a lot of you guys are having way too much saturated fat in your diet, and you're just drizzling oil on literally everything. but I can guarantee if your fat is between 10 and 20%, and actually part of that is going to be through the flax seeds, you're fine. And the evidence on this seems to be good too. So I'm not a fan of fish oil. I'm not opposed to omega-3s though. Vitamin D, everybody should take it. If you're in a colder climate or you live in the wintertime, I think 70% of people are deficient in it. And I'm going to say what I do, which is a little bit extreme, but 10,000 IU a day. And I think that's also been responsible in me having a very strong immune system. Your boy's a tank. Let me just say it like that. Collagen could have some benefits for your skin and maybe for muscle recovery if we're talking about like the type of protein that you're going to select. But when you consume protein as a whole, you're getting all the amino acids that you need anyway. So that's not really a big concern. But for skin health, it might be promising for sure. I would check out Dr. Brad Stanfield. He made a really good video on collagen. And then All Max Protein, is that the whey isolate? If it is, I've tried that one in the past. Let me look it up. I think that was the best one. Hold on. Ah, yeah, it is that one. Yeah, that's the best one I ever tried. If we're talking about whey isolate. It tasted really good. No digestive distress. It was good. However, these days I'm more about vegan protein powders. Simply because it's an ethically better choice, even though I'm not 100%. And I'd rather get pea protein than whey isolate. Not to mention the amino profile, the amino acid breakdown, like less methionine and stuff like that. Basically, the fact that it is plant protein is better, just off the ratios, because you're less likely to raise your IGF-1 as much, just to say. That's better for longevity. And then being lean, low body fat, athletic physique, we're not as bulky. I don't really know what you mean by that. Are you implying that taking these supplements will make you not as bulky? I don't understand that, man. I really don't. If you want to clarify in the comments, you don't have to buy the super chat unless you really want me to be quick with you. Feel free to ask another question. So thank you for that, man. Still reading. What's your favorite books? Aha. I'm still reading. Don't worry. Well, I can give you some right here. I kind of showed you guys this last time. Let's see here. These are some new ones that I got, except for this one. So, one of the books that everybody's got to read is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. You don't know until you know. Bro. This shit is so inspiring. Like, I want to name my son Marcus. This is going to be why. I would get a tattoo of something Stoic related. It's absolutely incredible stuff. You need to read this book. MJ DeMarco's work, if we're talking about entrepreneurship, this is his latest book. I actually haven't fully gone through it, but his other two ones, The Millionaire Fastlane, that was probably the best business book I ever read. And then the sequel, Unscripted, was out of this world. This is some real no fluff stuff. And there's even the Fastlane forum you could check out for real information on this. This is actually an OG book by Ernest Holmes, Creative Mind and Success. It was one of the original inspirations for the law of attraction. This is like source material. So if you want to see some OG stuff, this was written a very long time ago. It might be worthwhile checking out. And then Robert Greene, so good. This is his latest edition, The Daily Laws. So it's just a compilation. So all these books, you should read them. You see that? Power, Seduction, Mastery, Strategy, Human Nature. The only one I haven't read was Strategy. But all these were good. And there was also the 50th Law that he collaborated with 50 Cent. So those are really good, man. My favorite, well, you already know 40 Laws of Power, but 50th Law was good too. Mastery, honestly, Robert Greene is just phenomenal. You're gonna like all this shit. But anyway, oh, those are some good additions. Oh, I'll give you one for all you guys who want. Here, if you guys don't want fads, okay? Here, How Not to Diet by Michael Greger, okay? Stop following fads like the carnivore diet and all this. I'm not gonna say that word, but there's another diet too that's very popular. This goes through the actual evidence, you know? And it's thick. And it's got a lot of references too. Yeah. Plant-based nutrition, bro. Alright. I'm just going to leave it at that. There's a lot of questions we could talk about. Keto, yeah, you called it. Fuck. Alright. Why do you wear your boots in the gym? Well, I don't anymore. But I used to because it's fucking cold out here. And it would be a bitch to bring the shoes in all the time. So I would just, because I used to walk to the gym. I wouldn't drive there. And you can only carry so much stuff in your bag, right? So I would just go in and then I would clean off my boots and do my workout. And I didn't care. I'd also wear jeans at times. I don't do it anymore though. Except if I'm training outside. But I'm surprised all you guys are spamming this question. That's kind of weird. What boots do you wear? Blundstones. And I also, I like Chelsea boots. I like classic style stuff, you know? Alright, I feel like there was a super chat before. Did I miss it? No, I think we're good on the super chats. Okay, very good. Now we're going to answer. So we've gone through the first phase. We're going to go through some regular questions now. It's 12:30. Let's just keep going, guys, until I feel like, okay, it's enough. Alright? Alright, you missed the super chats. Where? I don't see any more. Where is the other one? I don't see it. Freaking YouTube, I'm sorry. Alright, this guy asked what car do I drive? I'm not a car guy. I just drive a Toyota RAV4 XLE. All-wheel drive. Done. I could have bought whatever I wanted. That's what I chose. Why? Because of Scotty Kilmer's videos. Reliability all day. That's it. Bought in full, no car payments. I just need a car. I just need something that gets me from point A to B. What are your thoughts on building huge knuckles? Well, I mean, I've seen some guys talk about that with bare knuckle training. And I actually created a duffel bag like that years ago. It was like a special canvas bag filled with clothes and sand. And you're supposed to punch this thing like on the floor, or you hang it and you do your boxing training with that. And when you get all roughed up, you also have like deerskin gloves that you use. So you don't use traditional boxing gloves. You got something thin that gives you a little bit of protection. And that thickens, well, it makes your skin tougher, and it conditions the knuckles for bare knuckle fighting, because a lot of boxers will actually break their hands in fist fights. And the reason is that when you wear the glove, you can go all out, and the wrist angle is different, as well as the mechanics, because of the thickness, the way it comes out, right? So it's a very different way of fighting. And so you want to train specifically for bare knuckle if you want to really like specialize in that. Like there's difference between I had a guy who punched a wall. There's difference between boxing training and the old school bare knuckle guys, what they did. Like it's not the same thing at all. And there's actually books that talk about this too. I bought like 3 or 4 of them. There was one, it was like something on Ultimate Fighting. I don't remember what it's called. This was years back, but it was good stuff. And you could also do knuckle push-ups. All right. How isn't Dr. Sean Baker dead yet if the carnivore diet ain't it? Well, it takes time to die, but check out what's that guy's name called? It's not Veg Source, but he's good too. There was this guy years back that would make these long lectures on plant-based nutrition, and he basically went through all the paleo arguments, every single one of them. Oh, Plant Positive. That's his name. Okay? If you guys are tired of these fraudsters, I'm not calling Sean a fraudster, by the way. I'm referring to the diet as a whole. I don't like the carnivore diet. But this is the channel you got to watch, okay? Plant Positive. He's got like 50 videos debunking all that stuff. And what you'll find is that all these people who follow these diets long term, they didn't do the best. And actually Ansel Keys, the people that everyone likes to make fun of, lived a long life, just to say. So if you want some debunking, just go through that, okay? I'm not going to do that. I'm not here to debate anybody on nutrition. It's not like I make much videos on it anyway. And people aren't open-minded enough to listen to that. I have no water left. I'm friggin' thirsty. It is what it is. People want to hear good things about their bad habits. Kai Piano. My old one got lost. You are one of the realest YouTubers ever. Any recs for in-depth books on Iron Wolf, high rep, or historical training styles? Well, it's hard to find people who train like Iron Wolf. He's on a completely different level. Like, bro, I'm not as fit as him. I'm stronger than him. I'll say that, and I think he would agree. I just raw brute strength stuff. Like, I do weight training and calisthenics, and my main focus is weighted calisthenics. But doing thousands of reps like he does, all those burpees without getting out of breath, no, I'm going to gas out. I can't do what he does. Like, I'm so impressed. It's really, really inspiring stuff. And he's older, bro. But look, you're in the military, you're disciplined, you always get after it. It's insane what you could do long term. So I'm extremely motivated when I watch his stuff, and it's just raw. It's real. That's what training is, guys. So you won't really find any books on that. Even some of the programs that come out, these paid ones, like there was Insanity years ago. There was P90X. Is that what it was? Yeah, I think so. It was called that. Yeah, I'm OG. It doesn't compare to what Iron Wolf has to offer, and it's all free, what he does. That's the craziest part. Then historical training styles. You got to read the books directly from the old school greats. That's it. So learn the names of the old school strongmen and read their material. And you're going to see everything laid out. There was one that was really freaking good. Oh, I don't remember the guy's name, but I remember he talked about calf training, and he showed these unconventional lifts where you get in like a really deep position, like in a squat stance with these heavy ass boots, and you do your calf raises like that. I forgot what it was called, bro. It was a real gem. It was written in the early 1900s. Anyway, read the original source material, and you're going to be very happy. But if you want someone who kind of digs into that, Brooks Cubic, I don't know how to say his name, he really gets into the specifics of what these people did, like Doug Hepburn and Eugene Sandow, like the names we've all heard of, right? And his book, Dinosaur Training, goes into some of those methods. And one of the strategies is heavy singles, which you've been seeing me do for years now. So if we're talking about late 1800s to early 1900s to mid, well, he goes into that. And even has a book on the overhead press. I read it. He gives you like 5 programs at the end as well that are all old school motivated. And it's good stuff overall. Oh, you could also check out Mr. America Hart on YouTube. He's like 57 years old, been competing in natural bodybuilding his whole life, and he'll give you some tips straight. Like, he's an OG, man, and he's not injured, still jacked, looks great. It's all health, bro. Girlfriend. How long did it take you to go from 225 to 315 bench? It didn't take the craziest amount of time. Like, I don't really remember exactly the duration. Yeah, what I do remember is going beyond that point. That's where things got hard for me. Well, actually, it got hard when I got to 275 for 5 reps. That was when I got my first like real big plateau. Like the biggest plateau of my life was at 275 for 5. Crazy, eh? But that was your boy years ago. And I tried a lot of things to get past that. And nothing worked until I really embraced the conjugate system. That's what got me out of that situation. And I've been a fan ever since. So, yeah, it got me to 3 plates and beyond. Even 4 or 5. You've seen all the training's been documented since the inception of this channel. And that takes years, bro. Going 315 to 405, you're not going to do that in a year. The journey to 405 started in 2017. And in 2016, it was like in the low-ish 3s. But that's because I had taken a year off from training. In 2015, I did like 335, touch and go. And then I think I also did 345, but my ass was completely off the bench. So I don't even count that. But that was the real grind, you know? It was like a 4-year grind-ish. Then some self-imposed limitations as well. Could have been quicker. What's that system? Yeah, conjugate, bro. Or just concurrent periodization as a whole, right? So you got your volume day and your intensity day. And you rotate exercises on a frequent basis. Check out my workout videos. I show you how to do all this. Shave head looks badass on you, bro. Thank you, man. I'm liking the look. And it feels good. When you go over your head like this, yeah, it's nice. What are your thoughts on French contrast training for athletes? I'm 31 and looking to dunk again. I don't know what you mean by the French contrast training. Like, is there something that they do different in France? Because in Quebec, I've never heard of a French method. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And what's the contrast training? I don't know how to answer your question, dude. And I'm not a basketball coach either. I actually I don't really follow the sport, and I don't specialize in increasing your dunking performance. If I do talk about that, it's in the context of raising your vertical jump, you know. And for that, it's referencing Dr. Verkhoshansky, straight up. And what he prescribed was around 30 to 40 depth jumps a week. But that's dated in the sense that, well, first of all, he's the godfather of plyometrics, but depth jumps are very hard on your recovery. So that's where Louis Simmons came into play and took that to the next level, where you're still following his prescriptions of the sets and reps and the weekly volume and the exercise selection, but you're not jumping straight down anymore into the ground. You're jumping up on a box. They're easier on your recovery. So I think that's in the book, Special Strength Training, a Manual for All Coaches. That's where he goes over all the vertical jump stuff. This is the original source material, right? Read that, and you're going to learn everything you need to know about plyometrics. Or look at Louis Simmons' books on becoming more athletic. There was one of them, the sprinting manual. I bought it. I think I have it right here somewhere. What was it called? Just go on the Westside site and look at the books that he has. He talks about athletic programs, you know? And I would definitely invest in it 100%. I did it. You should do it too. But there's another exercise too where like you get on your knees and you jump up into a snatch. Those are crazy. With a barbell, eh? And you could jump on, so you're sitting on your, so you're on your knees, but you're sitting down, right? And you could jump onto a box as well. You can also check out Knees Over Toes guy. He shows you some stuff you could do. Like one-legged jumps, death jump style. This way you don't actually have to load it at all, you know? And in general, he has good content because he's actually a basketball guy. I think his dream is to be in the NBA. So I hope this was help. I hope that was helpful, man. I know I couldn't answer your question about contrast training, but hope that part was good. Helmut Cruzman, how to progress on the novice program, when and how to increase your weight, same weight for all 3 or 5 sets, or increase weight every set. How does this linear progression model work? How should I progress in my workouts? The thing is, man, these questions are all answered in the Q&A and in the comment section, like time and time again over many years. So, like, I feel like I would just be rereading the Q&A. Basically, I'll say it like this, right? You increase the weight when you hit the maximum reps for every single set. So if you're doing 135 pounds on the bench press, you're doing 3 sets of 6. You got 6, 6, 6, and they all went relatively well. Next workout, you're going to try 140 pounds. So you're going to take some 2.5 pound micro plates, slide them on, and try to repeat the prescription, which is 3 sets of 4 to 6 reps. You're probably not going to get 6, 6, 6 anymore. You might get 6, 5, 4, realistically speaking. But your first set of 6 was like very challenging, right? 0 reps in reserve. The next workout, maybe you got 6 again, but it's 1 rep in reserve. So you had 1 rep in the tank. And as a consequence of that, because you're not training as hard, your second set might be 5 reps. Sorry, it might be 6 this time. But that was an all-out failure. And the third might be 4 reps again. So you got 6, 6, 4. You come back in the next workout. Now those first 2 sets change. You do 6 reps with 2 reps in reserve. Second set, 6 reps with 1 rep in reserve. And as a result, your third set, you might actually get 6 reps instantly or 5. Basically what I'm saying is you just got to follow the program and increase like a rep a workout ever so slightly. And the moment you max it out, 6, 6, 6, you increase by 5 pounds. It's as simple as that. And that's for the bench press. For some exercises, it's going to be less because of your training experience and what the movement is. Like an overhead press, you're going to hit a point where it gets very difficult to add 2.5 pounds. It's going to take some time. The squat and deadlift, on the other hand, you could probably add more. Just to say you're doing squats 3 times a week, and it's one of the movements that doesn't plateau right away. Deadlift, you can probably add 20 pounds of workout for quite some time. So it's the same thing that I talked about. Like, let's say you're doing 1 set of 5 on a conventional deadlift, as opposed to trap bar, right? You get 5 reps with 135. Next workout, you try 155. And you just keep adding 20 every single time. Then eventually, you're going to put on that 20, and you're going to realize it's not possible. You might only get 3, 4 reps, which is absolutely too heavy. That's when you hit that point where you got to stop adding it by that much. You're doing a 10-pound increase. It's slower now. Usually, that's when you hit 275 for 5 reps. It gets slower, right? So basically, the stronger you get, the longer this process takes. So before I gave you the example, I ran it through with you, like how you go from 654 to 666. That's pretty standard, right? Over time, it's going to be longer. It might take you a month before you complete all the sets of reps. So don't think it's so easy, like you're going to get the reps you want every single time. You got to be a little bit patient. And also, when you do stall, the way I get around this is not through exercise rotation, like with Naturally Enhanced. We do it through weight resets by around 15 to 30%, depending how you want to program it. So in this case, let's say you keep doing this linear progression until you're benching 155. Okay, let's say 185. Drop it down. So 185 minus, as you can see, I like percentages. Drop it down to like 155 and build back up, straight up. And you'll find that you're getting easy volume in with high reps in reserve. It's going to be a high number, right? And that's not going to beat you down as much. It won't be fatiguing, but the stimulus is still going to be there. And when you get back up to that 185, you should have accumulated enough tonnage to surpass that plateau. So that's just a basic example for that. And yeah, that's the rundown on how it works with the novice program. I hope that was clear. All right. Super chat. Andre Rocchetti. Yo, Alex. Just wanted to show my gratitude as a longtime fan of the channel. Came across your content as a late novice, and now I'm able to rep 3 plates in the front squat and 185 on the OHP at 180 bodyweight. Dude, that's freaking strong, man. Wow. Great job. I'm really proud of you. Long-term supporter. You put in the work. Hey, you did it. You didn't give up. You kept moving forward. Your legs, that's amazing, dude. And you hit an above bodyweight OHP, not at a light bodyweight. Because you'll see some guys doing it at 145 pounds. Yeah, I can do a little bit over a plate. Yeah, I'm not knocking you. But just to say, it's not the same. Not all bodyweight PRs are equated equally, okay? It's more impressive when you're 180 doing 185. The absolute load is something else. And you'll hit that point where your body weight isn't affected too much if you're in a certain range, right? Like, we all tend to live around the same numbers. Like, when you get to, like, 205, like, on the OHP, bro, it gets tough. Whether you're 165 or 200, trust me, guys, it's brutal. So anyone who could do 185 on the OHP is a strong man to me. A strong man, not a strong man competitor. Let's get that straight. And then the front squat, bro, a lot of guys can't do it because the form requirements, especially using that clean grip. And 3 plates, you got to have that upper back strength on deck. So your regular squat is probably somewhere in the 4s just off that. So good stuff, man. Like, you're just going to keep getting stronger. Now you got to shoot for more. Try to get a 350 front squat. 200 OHP. Let's freaking go. But thank you for the super chat. Keep it up. And I appreciate your long-term support. Alright, BD, no question, just want to thank you for the information you provide in your videos, many of which I've watched. Thank you for all your help. Well, thank you so much for the super chat. Like I've been saying, I do this for you guys. And even right now, it's late. We could be doing other things, lying down in bed, but you're here, you just decide to show some love for no reason, just because I've helped you out. I didn't ask you for anything. You were just appreciative. And I extend that back to you. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in this comment section right now. We're vibing it out. It's going great. We've been talking for 2.5 hours. And every time we do this, it's always fun. Like, just to say, if I'm doing a regular Q&A, it's more difficult than when I'm live because the vibe is there. You know what I'm saying? I can see you in live time. It's something else. Like, that's why I want to do more of these, guys. We really connect. It's that next level. And honestly, I enjoy doing the weekly Q&As. It was fun. The thing is, it just wasn't... I feel like it was taking away from the quality of the channel, right? And there would be a lot of unanswered questions in the comment section. And with this, we can go through a lot more. So I just prefer... It's just more... And it's on the spot, too. I have no time to think. You're just seeing it raw like it is. We talk for a long time, and they're good. They make for good long-term videos too, if you're playing it in your car or whatever. So, hey, I know I sound like a broken record, but thank you for your support. It's not just me giving you information. I can have the best info in the world, but it won't make a difference if you guys aren't receptive to it. And there's been some stuff that I uploaded in the past where I was really proud of it, right? But the video underperformed. And it bothered me a bit. Because I was like, yo, this is incredible content. This is life-changing stuff. Like, people are going to make great gains by going through this. But they didn't want the information. At the same time, maybe I didn't present it in a way that you guys liked. But now that we're tighter than ever before, and you seem to be giving me good feedback on the videos I've been making so far, well, I'm just going to keep this format rolling and improving upon it. But that came from you guys. You held me accountable. So I give you info, but then you actually refine it with your feedback. Does that make sense? Through constructive criticism, trying out some of the strategies, asking more questions also. Like, hey, I don't quite understand what you're saying here. By you asking questions, it forces me to be a better teacher. I need to be more clear with my words, explain things in a way that you actually understand it. That's why it goes both ways. So, thank you, BD. All right. Love the vibe you put out. Grateful for this channel. The whole vibe here on the channel, from you to the comments, your guests, is a cool thing. This has been super cool. Thank you. Yo, I appreciate that, man. That's what it's all about. It is really cool, honestly. Like, I never thought we would get to this point when I started doing this thing. Whoa. Look at this super chat right here. A solid MX. $249. Alex, I appreciate all you do. I wish you health and success this year. Greetings from Mexico. My man. Greetings from Canada. And I wish you the same thing. Health is number one. It's all we really got. And even though some people consider 2022 to be an extension of 2021, that doesn't matter. We make decisions. And just to say, you're here right now. You're showing some love. You're obviously very happy. My work has impacted you to the point where you just gave me this crazy donation. That means you're doing good mentally. You don't care what's going on in Mexico. You're able to kick ass regardless. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know if some of the gyms are closed. But I'm seeing these comments. Those are... No. It's good. Don't worry. Yeah, how is it in Mexico? Let me ask you some questions. And we got any guys from Mexico over here? Who's representing? Let's get some feedback, yo. My man, MX. How is it over there? Everything's open? Okay. So you're good. They're taking care of everything. That's what's up. Yeah, but anyway. Fuck, man. Like, I just want to say thank you. And I'm gonna keep doing my best to give you this content. Like, just to say, guys, all this donation money, I put it right back into the channel. So I'm not a big spender on myself. I'll put it into equipment. I'll upgrade my lenses. I'll get things that just enhance the viewing experience. Or I'll just, that's what I do with it. So you're wishing me health and success. I wish you the same thing for gains. It's time for you to just commit. Like, consider this a declaration of gains. I'm putting you on blast. Solid MX. Let me try to keep you accountable, bro. You better make gains this year. You better achieve your goals. Whatever you set out, there's no excuses, man. And if I see your freaking comment in a year from now, and you have the same numbers as when you're asking me questions over here in this comment section, I'm gonna put you on blast. So MX, yo, much love from Canada, but let's get these gains, bro. And you better post your numbers too. All right, I'll remember you. But in all honesty, thank you for the donation. And if you have any other questions specifically, like, ask away. All right. I had a guy ask me a super chat, and I don't have it anymore. He said I missed it. Alex Hernandez. Yo, I'm gonna control F you. Repost it, bro. Repost it. No rip for you. Don't worry. Oh, I found you. I found you. Back squats always cause me lower back pain. Front squats don't. Can I fully switch to front squats? Will I lose any benefits from never back squatting? Okay. Thank you for super chat. To answer your question, you might, because the front squat's going to limit your lower body gains in the sense that it's the only squat besides Zerchers that are really upper body restricted. So if you don't have the upper back strength to hold that position, you are going to collapse and fail the weight right then and there, even though your legs were capable of so much more. And the thing is, you also got to have really good technique. And most of us are doing bro front squats to the point where you're not even maximizing your leverages on that. You see where the issue is? It's a self-limiting variation, which isn't bad if we're talking about getting more out of less weight, but it's self-limiting to the legs specifically. And you know, I used to be really big on them back in the day, but I think now there's better options available. And what I would personally recommend is the safety squat bar with the handles elevated. You'll get the same upright position, no technique required. It's all brute strength. It'll light up your quads guaranteed. And there's the camber, which allows you to get more out of less weight. So that's what I would switch to instead of front squats. But if you want to do them 100%, okay, fine. But you have to be a freaking master. You better learn that technique perfectly and really focus on your upper back like there's no tomorrow. And even address it, because it will become a weak link. Now, you said back squats cause you lower back pain, but front squats don't. Why? Probably because of the leverages of the back squat, right? You might be doing a good morning squat. Maybe your quads are just really freaking weak. They're a limiting factor. Or you just don't have the best leverages for back squats. In that case, maybe you've been trying to do a regular high bar squat, but you just end up folding like a pancake and it doesn't go the way you want it to. So have you tried like wide stance, low bar squats? It might put your leverages in a more favorable position, right? If we're talking about loading the back squat with the most amount of weight while minimizing discomfort. That's one strategy. I know it's more taxing on the posterior chain when you use that position. Some guys would say this is even bad advice. But I'm just saying, have you tried to use that position? You know, it's not, it could just be that you're trying to use a low bar form with a high bar. Does that make sense? Otherwise, if you're going to keep doing high bar, which I think is a great move, just wear Olympic weightlifting shoes. And maybe that is going to bias the movement enough that the quads become the weak link. And you're not going to have that good morning form anymore. And by doing that, that should solve the lower back pain by itself. Lastly, if all these modifications of a back squat, even safety squat bar, don't solve the issue, then maybe you just have a muscular weakness that needs to be addressed. Just to say, I've had back pain in the past. I've done my fair share of ego lifting. You know, you all know what I did with good mornings years back. I do a lot of good mornings now, and they feel absolutely amazing. You can always rehab your back. You can always get back into lifting really heavy weights. And I think when you watch this live stream, the replay, okay, there's a question I asked at the beginning where I talk about how to address that area. So be sure to check that out. But you'll want to start doing reverse hypers and maximize programming as a whole. Really getting some blood flow to the lower back, strengthening the glutes. There's definitely something weak if you can't back squat at all, unless you had a previous injury, and that's a different topic altogether. But if you have pain right now, know that it doesn't have to last. You can get through this. All right. So, we're going to start wrapping up. I'm going to answer some more questions, a little bit more, because it's like 1 in the morning. You see, guys, I plan on watching anime tonight, but we stayed up. We were all productive together. That was our choice. So we're going to finish it strong. We got my man Benjamin Salinas. He says I missed the super chat. Don't worry, Benjamin. I apologize to those where I missed it. It's just that YouTube doesn't give me enough time. So Benjamin, could you repost the question right here? Don't pay me for it. Just post a question. I got you on Control F right now. Okay? Weebs Unite. Demon Slayer. Yeah, I gotta watch the second season. I'm not done with that yet. Yo, Benjamin, post your super chat, okay? Whenever you're ready, bro. All right, we got this guy right here. Thank you for super chat. 24 Swiffer. Hey, Alex, let's say I lose 40 pounds in 2 months by prolonged fasting. Am I not going to get the muscle memory? Am I not going to get the lost muscle back very fast because of muscle memory? Thank you. You actually will get it back quicker than you realize. But the thing is, 40 pounds in 2 months is a lot of weight. So even though prolonged fasting can theoretically be muscle sparing, if it's too rapid, you might lose so much muscle just because it's aggressive by nature that the muscle memory process will take a little bit longer to resume. It's still going to happen, but not at the same rate is what I'm saying. So for me, because I did a slow cut, it was 6 fucking months. It didn't have to be that long, okay? Look how fast my muscle gains are coming back. It's like this. I did 385 off of one board today. It moved really well. Well, actually, it was a grinder, but just to say, my bench is probably somewhere in the 370s right now. And that's after, what, a month of training? That's pretty freaking serious. Like, that means I gained some really good muscle when I went bare mode in 2021. And so, I'm not going to have to be 185 to bench 405 again. That's all because I was smart with the cut. The only thing that made things worse was getting shredded. If I would have stayed at a generally lean weight, let's say between 155 and 165, I would have probably already been back at my peak strength. It's because I went to that single digit. That's where my performance really went to shit. And if you're doing that, especially with an aggressive deficit, that's going to be exaggerated even further. So what might have taken you 3 months to regain maximum performance, now it's taking you 5. You know? So it's up to you if you want to go through that. I still think it's good to include prolonged fasting, but I'm just going to call it out like this. This was my most successful cut yet. I've done a few on this channel before. This was my best one. It's the only time I didn't fast. All my other cuts, I fasted. I would do 48s and 72s. I didn't do it this time. If I did, I think it was once, like max. I only did one fast. Not long. Very short. I still got shredded. So, sometimes the shorter way is not the answer. But yeah, muscle memory, you'll be okay. Alright. Got the homie right here. Mikael Acre. That's a cool name, man. You still recommend your novice program today, and thank you for the super chat. Yes, I do. It's updated because I check on the site and I see if some things are in disagreement with my viewpoint. And because you guys ask me questions about it all the time, like, we're always improving upon it. You know what I'm saying? So even if it's not written directly on the page itself, just the comment section and what you guys ask me in a lot of Q&As, we learn more about the program. But it's not the end-all be-all. I certainly don't think it's the greatest novice program of all time. I'm probably going to release another one in the future, near future. And just stay tuned for more good stuff. In general, I feel like I got to give you guys a lot more programs on 2 realms, okay? Free and paid. What do you say to that? But, yeah, it's still a good program for sure. I get testimonials to this day. Always getting DMs about it. All right, Charles. FYI, anime actually multiplies your test levels. It's a 1.5x multiplier. Also, I'm a viewer. Just curious, are you a lifetime natty? I am a lifetime natty. And extremely proud of that. If I wasn't, nothing that I've accomplished would mean anything. It would mean 0. None of the PRs I've hit are impressive if even the slightest amount of steroids were done. So let me say this. A 405 bench is fucking shit if you're on steroids. In my opinion. I don't care if you have worse genetics. I don't respect that. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. So freaking proud. It's what makes me Alex Malfadesny. It's what makes me unique in a sea of fake natty bullshit influencers. So yeah, I'm not gonna get passive aggressive over here, but lifetime, and I must emphasize the word lifetime, because some guys will get on, they'll hit a crazy amount, and then get off, and then they'll use their best peak state to represent their brand, but they don't even look like themselves, or they'll lie about what they do, which is always a pathetic thing to do. But yeah, I agree on your point about anime. I notice a lot of anime lovers, especially the ones who follow GAR, you could say. I think that's what the sub the tier is called, or sign-in anime. If you watch the brutal stuff, like, I find it teaches you the right lessons to be successful in life. You know what I'm saying? We're wired different. Like, if you're a Berserk fan, you like the concept of struggling. Just to say, you relate to it. We can relate to guts, you know? Dragon Ball Z, an old school motivation right there. I used to stay up late as a kid just to watch it. Actually, not that late. It would start at 9 o'clock. And then Dragon Ball, 8:30 was Dragon Ball. 9 o'clock was Dragon Ball Z. 9:30 was Dragon Ball GT. I watched all three. Baby, please. But it wasn't in HD. It was the original one, you know? And I remember watching Frieza versus Goku. And I have the manga for that too. From when I was a kid, bro. You're in the schoolyard, you're powering up. You're trying to be a Super Saiyan. You got those motivations. This shit runs deep. It affects you for the rest of your life. You know? Natural Hypertrophy calls it the male power fantasy. Baki, same thing. These manly animes, as I called it years back in my Minoxidil video. When I said that, I used to look up these Hokuto no Ken. Bro. Gotta watch that. That's one of my favorites of all time. Bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you watch that, it teaches you some values. And it'll brainwash you from when you're an adult. When you become an adult, I mean. But yeah, I agree, man. Anime nerds for the win. If you watched Attack on Titan, absolutely, bro. On the final season, didn't watch that yet though. Bro, don't get low tests. Don't you get low tests because it's Japanese ninjas running and screaming in the jungle. Bro, if you haven't watched anime, watch Hokuto no Ken and tell me if it's low T. Do yourself a favor, bro. What's this right here? Ozarks, Creek and Timber. Yo, thank you for super chat. Want to say thanks, man. Your videos have been keeping me motivated. I've just finished my first round of chemotherapy and surgery. Any advice on where to begin when I start lifting again? Well, thank you for your support. And I'm honored that as you're going through chemotherapy, you're watching my videos and still trying to learn. A lot of people would not want to have anything to do with working out. They would just focus on things that maybe are more important to them, entertainment-wise. But you must be very passionate about lifting, and you want to start. You're hungry for it, and you're ready to kick ass, and you're ready to beat the cancer. So you're a fighter, and I salute you, brother. What I would tell you to do is, first of all, I'm not a medical professional or a doctor, right? But I'd recommend you to the plant-based doctors on YouTube. And maybe you could even talk to them one-on-one. Get some consultations with them. Buy their books. Follow their information. This is where things get serious, guys. When people have, serious illnesses, and you're going to recommend them a diet, what's it going to be? That which the evidence supports, or what a marketer is talking about on Instagram with his new fad diet book that's become a bestseller? Where are you going to allocate your knowledge? Who are you going to follow when your life is on the line? That's where I'm getting at with these topics. So I'm going to point you in that direction. check out Dr. Greger, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, especially, Dr. Clapper, Veg Source, Hench Herbivore, if you want some bodybuilding advice with that. Basically, Mike the Vegan is very good. Look into that whole world. And you're going to start to know Dr. Furman. Yes, Dr. Furman. Get to know that world. Pick up everything you need. And I think that's going to be the most beneficial for nutrition. Okay? Now, for training, I don't really know what to recommend to you, to be perfectly honest, because I don't know how frail you're going to be or what you're able to handle. But assuming you lose a lot of muscle mass, it might be a good idea to start with calisthenics and maybe some Iron Wolf type workouts, but you don't actually complete the full segment. So if he's calling for 40 minutes, maybe only do 10 just to work some general conditioning in. And so you're focusing on calisthenics, and then you want to run a basic novice program with the weight training, because you're probably severely detrained and can get away with linear progression on the fundamental compounds. So something like my novice program, maybe using the lowest volume possible. I mean, your body's going to be a bit more frail, right? You just got to train like you're a new lifter again, that's all. And slowly build your work capacity while eating really good food. But much love to you. I appreciate the support. And I hope everything goes well with all your treatments, man. If you got to do more stuff, or in general, like, just health is important. It really is. More than the gains. Alright. Casper Santos. Thank you for super chat. Hey, yo, dude, I was watching the interview between you and Jeff Nippard, and one of you ripped the fattest fart I ever heard. 3557, thanks for the finest content, Alpha. Okay. Well, because you gave me $10, let's go over this live, bro. Jeff Nippard, Alpha Destiny. Who farted? Let's find out. Okay. Let's freaking do it, boys. 3557. Alright, I'm gonna pay attention. 3557. Let's find out. Let's see if you guys can hear this. Let me mute this royalty-free music. Alright, let's hear this.
And take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit and go at 85-90%,
yeah, exactly.
And still get very similar results. That seems to be more of a psychological approach.
So it's probably the microphone, or like I don't think it's a fart, and I'll tell you why. Look how close both of our faces are to that mic. So a fart comes out of your ass, right? And unless your ass is pointed directly to the camera, how the fuck would you hear it if you're literally standing right here? You know what I'm saying? So right now I'm talking this close, which is how it was in the interview. So if I move the mic, or maybe if I do a sound effect like, it's going to sound a lot louder. Whatever sound you do, that's why ASMR, you're close like this, right? And there are two mics. To be honest, I don't know how that played out, but I don't think it was a fart for any of us, to be honest with you. Actually, I used to film my older videos with my cell phone. There would be a recording app. And whenever you would move the phone around, it would make these fucking noises. Like these squishy, gross noises. And people would post these comments, and I'd be like, yo, I'm filming from a cell phone, bro. It's not a professional mic. So anything can sound weird when you're... Like, bro, you ever see the Mortal Kombat behind the scenes footage? You know what they do to get like those fatality sound effects? They take a knife and they'll stab like an orange and they'll squish around. They play around with fruits to get that effect. So just to say, you don't know what you're hearing with this. Yeah, that's a logical justification. Otherwise, there was a fart, and it is what it is. There you go. All right. Stand strength. Greetings from Las Vegas. Thoughts on 6 days per week bench alternating variations, grips, 3 to 5 RIR, and doing double the pulling volume. Sub since 2016. Thanks for the info and motivation, bro. Yo, I appreciate the long-term support. 2016 was the golden age, and you've been there all the way. So we for sure grown a lot together, and that's amazing, man. Now, 6 days a week benching, I'm not a fan of that. And you probably know that already, but you're just confirming it, right? I think it's unnecessary, and I would much rather someone benches twice a week, just hitting standard volume work, maximum 3, and just getting stronger from there on. What's the benefit of getting that much frequency in? You know, you might get a little bit stronger, but for what? The extra overuse and having to calculate your volume even more. Your program is going to get a lot more complex, I can promise you that. All these systems that are extremely high frequency, look at them on an Excel spreadsheet. You don't know what you're looking at. It's very, very complicated. Not everyone can program like that. You have to have an amazing understanding of all the variables. And that's why you even suggested here, alternating variations, grips, and 3 to 5 RIR. It's because you have to, and you know it. You're not going to do the regular bench 6 days in a row. You're going to need some variation just to make sure you're not all banged up. The movement variability is key. And then the 3 to 5 RIR, again, you have to, because if you do 1 to 2 RIR 6 days a week, you're going to get snapped up hard. So we're talking about lower RPE, more frequency, and then having to change so many variables just because it's a system that imposes a crazy recovery demand. And then you're talking about doing double the pulling volume as a result, but it's not going to be the same quality of pulling volume, right? So is it evening out? You know, basically, if you did hip hinges twice a week, maybe a regular deadlift, good mornings, RDLs, and then a back extension, 90 degree or 45 degrees, like that's high quality volume, but it's only twice a week. You're going to do double that over a 6 day time frame. It's not going to be the same level of intensity. And for what? You know, to make 5 to 10% more progress, but you feel all banged up. I find the bench especially, it's harder to do higher frequency on it, in my experience. Exercises like the squat are a little bit better for that. But just look at programs like Small Love Jr. and all the people who complain. You know, I think it's 4 times a week benching. Now, obviously, the percentages are up there, and you'll be doing 3 to 5 RIR. But just to say, like, the moment you go above 3 days a week benching, like, shoulder recovery becomes a real concern. And you can try everything you want to maximize the variations and the grips and making your training less volume, like, less intensive, but you're still going to feel it. Like, would I be able to get away with that? I think I would crash pretty hard. And, like, I might get some good short-term gains, but after that, it'd be fucked up. So, in general, I'm not a fan of those types of programs. To me, the risk is not worth the reward. Like, that's my honest answer, bro. But if you want to train like that, I mean, you do you. It could be done, but I did answer at the start. Your program's got to be dialed in, like, really good. If you know what you're doing, and it sounds like you do, because you literally gave the specifications that would be required, fine. But I'm just saying, you're probably not going to make as much progress as you think you will compared to the alternative, which is going slightly less aggressive. Shout out to my man Jax Played. Y'all are my inspo. Y'all appreciate that, C Tang. And your super chat. I just read his comment out loud. Strange Shreds. Thank you. Do you believe in heavy holds or too taxing? What's the purpose? If it's for grip development, yeah, it works. Do you need to do it though? Probably not. And you have to assess if you have a grip weakness to begin with. Most people don't. It's only when you start pushing the extremes of powerlifting where this tends to be an issue. I find that anyone who's deadlifting the 500s tends to be okay. It's more so when you hit the 6 to 700 mark that you'll have some grip problems. Or maybe you were under recover for that day, it slips out, or you're grabbing a really crappy barbell, it's always a concern, right? But I don't do heavy holds. For me, I get most of my grip through doing just my pull-ups, to be honest. And even lat pull-downs, I don't strap up for that. I'll mostly strap up for free weighted rows. That's about it, like a barbell row. Or a Pendlay row from going above, say, 225 to 250. And that, you're still getting grip strength. Okay, let me just say this. You're still building your grip when you use a strap. It's not like you're doing nothing, unless it's the only exception would be like a figure eight, where it's really not going to have the same transference effect grip-wise. But I don't do heavy holds. For rack pulls, that's going to give you a weighted stretch on the traps, so that's another benefit. But if you're talking about athletic carryover, probably won't help you for regular deadlifts. Darren O'Leary. Alright. Alien Jess 100. Hey Alex, thoughts on push-pull legs separated into 3-day strength, 3-day volume approach. Also, lentils are OP for health and gains. Yep, lentils are the best, man. I try to get them in every day. It's probably my favorite bean that can be consistently consumed. So, thank you for the super chat. Can you... So let me answer this. Push-pull legs into 3 days strength, 3 days volume. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine, dude. That's basically how I've programmed most of my training, but just in an upper-lower fashion. You're just doing it in push-pull legs, breaking it up like that. My only question to you would be, why not just do an upper-lower then? I mean, it's personal preference, but at the end of the day, like, realistically, right? You got twice a week, muscle protein synthesis, and you can put full attention to all the muscles. Your back, so your back and bicep workout, your chest, triceps, and shoulders, and then your legs. Those are all going to be great sessions. And you're separating the movement patterns, right? Like when you do a bench press, that's not going to affect your deadlift for the most part. That said, on your heavy pull day, that can potentially hurt your deadlift, possibly. It all depends how you're programming things, right? So if you're going to do weighted pull-ups and a bunch of bicep work on Tuesday, and then Wednesday you're going to come in and hit legs, maybe it'd be better if you did a good morning instead of a deadlift, just because you're overly stressing the back muscles. Obviously, the spinal rectors and the glutes and hamstrings, the muscles that control hip extension, that's going to play the biggest role on your deadlifts. But still, the fact that you're doing a heavy pull the day before, that can possibly be an issue. So if I max out on a weighted pull-up on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I come in and hit conventional deads, it's not going to go as well. So that's one possible consideration for the heavy day specifically. Otherwise, the management of volume and intensity, there's nothing wrong with that. You're periodizing it. It's a little bit smarter than traditional templates like that. There's a periodization element where you're paying attention to the percentages of your 1 rep max. So it's a very classic way of programming things. Volume day, intensity day. Just be mindful of the blending action. Okay? Okay. Benjamin Salinas. Thank you for the super chat. Tore my distal bicep tendon 3 years ago and didn't get surgery for it. What back movements with low bicep strain could treat as a compound movement? Well, I don't. So you didn't get surgery for it, and now it's fully functioning. It's where it needs to be. You're okay. Does it cause discomfort? The question is, does it even matter that you have a strain? Because I think also Mike the Machine Bruce tore his pec a long time ago, but he just resumed training as normal, and he got up to doing 150 pounds on the flat dumbbells for rep work. The only difference was one of his arms was closer to his body. So let's say he tore the left pec, it would be lower, and the right arm would be like that. So he'd be pressing like this, but they're still 150-pound dumbbells. That might be the same for you in this context. Like, your form might be altered very slightly, but it still doesn't affect the net result, right? Now, obviously, if you're doing a pull, maybe you should switch your grips for the mix, right? So if you tore your left bicep and that used to be your mixed grip underhand, now you're gonna put your right arm with the underhand. If you suspect that it's fragile and gonna get snapped up again, or you tore a freaking bicep and you probably did it as a natty, right? Or not, I don't know. Regardless, how about you say screw the rules? It doesn't even matter because you're probably not even gonna want to compete. And I'm not even gonna tell you to learn hook grip. Fuck that. Just use straps. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be the best option if you've had bicep issues in the past. Double over with straps. It's the number one solution, objectively superior to hook grip on every possible level. And if you're a non-biased powerlifter, you'll probably agree. Yeah, come on. Put some figure eights. You tell me if that's worse than a hook grip. Come on. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then you'll obviously want to rehab the area with high rep band work. At the beginning, I discussed doing overspeed eccentrics with tricep pushdowns. So you might have like a micro mini band or a regular mini band, and you just pump blood into the muscle, right? So you're getting the movement in, but there's really no stimulus or stress in the area. You're just getting blood into the muscle and tendons, since they tend to be avascular. You can do the same thing with your biceps. You can put the band low at the bottom of a power rack or whatever is stationary, and you're going to rep it out like this, okay? You're going to do underhand grip and also hammer. That's going to build up your bicep tendon. And in general, you want to load the biceps with exercises that don't make you feel like you're going to get hurt, and slowly build your capacity with that to the point where then you can start actually doing regular barbell curls again. So I don't know what those movements are going to be for you, because I just don't know. You never got surgery and it might be different. But you can start with the super low stress stuff, at least, like the band curls, and even doing movements that change the strength curve a bit. So maybe it's going to be less intense at the bottom, so you refrain from doing like incline dumbbell curls where the arm is stretched back. And then the strength curve, it's going to be more peak contraction based than in the bottom position. In this context, doing cable curls might be better than free weighted curls, just to say. And that's really about it for that. Okay. I think we're about done for this Q&A. I think we're going to wrap up. Going to answer like 3 to 5 more tops, and that's it. Please don't. Much love to all you. I appreciate you being here. Please no super chats, okay? We all got to go to bed now. Okay. Tawfiq Al-Ashkar. Can you build muscle and strength with poor nutrition? What do you define as poor nutrition? Because I would say if your diet is horrific, but your programming is magnificent, you can probably still build a lot of muscle and get to an impressive strength level. Just to say, there's a lot of powerlifters who dirty bulk and don't eat as good as bodybuilders, yet they've done really well, and many are natural. Just, it goes twofold. Some powerlifters don't do full days of eatings, not because they just don't care about promoting that type of content, but because they themselves don't follow the greatest diets. It's a bit more loose. And the benefit of that is usually when you get fluffy. So if you're someone who, okay, you like to eat your food, you got a big appetite, you don't really care, you're bloat maxing, that's not going to compromise your muscle gains. All it will do is lead to proportionally more fat. That's it. So let's say you only need 120 grams of protein a day, and you're getting that through limited means. But then at nighttime, You stuff your face with cake, candies, Pop-Tarts, popcorn, a bag of chips, and then you do an Uber Eats order. And you have a pizza to yourself. You're probably going to get a lot of fat and sugar and no micronutrients. But those extra calories will put you in a surplus. It's poor nutrition, absolutely. But you should still come back in next workout and do fine. Realistically, if you're not making gains, it's because your program is garbage in this context. Now, if your diet is just you being in a massive deficit on one day and then maintenance on the other day, then the next day you're in a big surplus, but then the rest of the week you're going to be in a deficit again, then that's just unacceptable. You're not going to make gains. But that's why we have to be clear about what we mean by bad nutrition. What exactly are you referring to? Because I'm just going to say it doesn't have to be as clean as you think. If we're talking about objective, pure, lean tissue accumulation with numbers being reflected in that. Though I'm obviously not an advocate of eating garbage foods. Yeah, 531, good program for intermediate beginners. Even advanced lifters could use it, guys. It has a really good record for that. Even Brandon Campbell Diamond, when he got back into training hard again, he was going really at it with 531, and he got back up to doing like well in the 500s for the squats. So it's a simple and effective system for sure. All right. Of course. Rolando Montero. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Hey, Alex, what do you think about Attack on Titan and Eren Yeager's character progression? Also, his full body 3 times a week. Good. So, Attack on Titan. I started watching it a little bit later in life. I think the first time I ever looked at it was in 2017. And that was because of one of you guys. It was my anime video. Remember that? I talked about Dragon Ball Z and how that's an anime? Yeah. So I went through it. I think there were like 2 seasons back then. And I've been tuning in ever since. So that's like, yeah. And I've enjoyed this series very much. I've never read the manga. I just never minded being patient with it. It was my little show that I would watch whenever the seasons would come out, and I would always binge it, except for the last season that came out. You know, that one I did episode by episode, but I always waited till everything was available, and I specifically reserved it for my fasts. Yep, every time I've done a 72-hour fast, I've always watched Attack on Titan. Yeah, might sound weird, but I guess I felt more connected with the characters in that way. Oh, you guys are saying no spoilers. Don't worry. I'm not going to spoil. Don't spoil this for me, Alpha. Okay. But I'm just going to give you a rundown, like, based off how it affected me, right? And in general, like, it's a high-quality anime. The animation is excellent. The story development, the characters, they're all, you know, the trials and tribulations they must go through, the friendship aspect. I don't want to spoil for these guys now. I was going to say more. But Eren Yeager, I like him. But I like the other guy more. Who's that fucking dude? Oh, I can't believe I forgot his name. You guys can get pissed off now. The badass guy with the sword. Not Armin. I think it's is it Levi? One sec. Levi. Oh yeah, of course, Levi. Yeah, I think he's my favorite character in the entire show. Absolutely, it's Levi. Yes. Has to be Levi. Yep. I'm so sorry for forgetting his name. It's been a while. Yeah, that's the man right there. No, but I think everybody likes him, right? But Aaron Yeager is just a badass, bro. And in the last season, you see Levi, you see how he changes. Yeah, I'm not going to say more than that because I feel bad for people in the comment section. I'm sorry, bro. There's a lot of Attack on Titan fans here. But to answer your question, is full body 3 times a week good? Yeah, man. It's an extra step for frequency for all your body parts. It's 3 times instead of twice. I don't think it's that much better from a hypertrophy perspective. But the benefit could be you go less hard on your twice a week full body. So with twice a week full body, you have to do everything. You're gonna probably do like 2 compound movements with all your accessories. It's hard, okay? I did it for a very long time, but trust me, you feel dead by the end of that. Like you will knock out when you get home. Whereas a full body 3 times a week, you can cut back the individual workout volume. You can scale it back. So the weekly volume is going to be the same, but now you got a little bit more frequency, just by a small amount. So it might be potentially a bit better for recovery, especially if you do it like a heavy, light, medium setup, you know? So Monday you go heavy, Wednesday light, Friday volume, and you just run it like that. The only downside of it is if you're not getting properly recovered, 48 hours might not be enough on a full body system. And my old system, the Alpha Body, it was auto-regulated by taking a day off. Like I would say, if you don't feel good this time, so it was training every other day, right? If you don't feel good, you take another day off. Therefore, the program could be 2 to 4 times a week volume, depending how your week went. It was completely auto-regulated like that. That's because full body is stressful. And why the twice a week system, I've never found better recovery than that. Actually, one thing I didn't talk about in this Q&A, I've done it a few times in the last few weeks, but only because sometimes from a scheduling standpoint, I have no choice. Like I know I'm not going to be able to do, say, my upper body workout on a Thursday. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to do full body on Friday. So I only had legs planned for that day, but I do it all regardless. And the 2 ways I go about doing that is I either break it up. So I'll do full body, I'll do upper body in the morning, legs at night, which isn't really full body, but it's 2 days. Or I'll just do it in the same session. But I'm always going to have that break in the middle of the workout, you know, and I'll do it in like a push-pull fashion. So I'll alternate between bench press and row, and I'll try to get a nice mixture in. I'm not going to do a full pressing workout, then a pulling workout, then a leg workout. I'll do a deadlift, a bench press, you know, then a row, then I'll go back to an overhead press. You know what I'm saying? It just blends better. But yeah, full body 3 times is good. About anime, have you seen Dropout or Kuro Inu? I don't think so. The thing is, I only watch. I don't know if that's the same name in English or French. Not French, Japanese. I watch it subs only. Oh, this is hentai, bro. Come on. What's Kuro Inu? Another one? Let's find out. Let's see here. It's probably okay. Yeah, I don't watch that stuff, bro. I like. Come on, man. You got me though. You got me. Yeah, I watch like Gar. Like I talked about being seinen. You know, I like the brutal shit. But you got me live, bro. You got me. Don't search Dropout. You guys prefer sub or dub? Don't search it. Yeah, you warned me. You freaking sub, broski. Time proven intermediate program. Oh, 531, like I said before. Or the conjugate system works for every experience level. Yeah, this is unscripted, boys. Sub. Yeah. We got some men of culture out here. Dub is for sumo pullers. Hey, man, I'm going to do over 600 sumo. You going to judge me? No, but I get it. It's all good. I say you got to use the leverages that are best suited for your anthropometry. And the thing is, when you do sumo, like to me, right, in a context where you're not a competitive powerlifter, use it as your tester. Don't do volume work on your sumo deadlifts. Like for me, I'm using it exclusively for heavy ass work. Like I'm not going to do reps of 10 on a sumo deadlift. Please call me out if I do that, guys. I'm going to do rep work on RDLs, on deficit stiff-legged deadlifts, on big range of motion movements, trap bar deadlifts, you know? Sumo is going to be like 85% plus. It's when I'm here to demonstrate my strength. But I'm not actually going to train the sumo to get better at the sumo. Crazy, but that's how it's going to roll. Except for maybe a short-term peaking. Yeah, it's all good. It's valid for sure, man. Plus, it's in the official rule books, you know? I feel like I can do way more than 600 sumo. Yeah, my potential's there, man. I can probably do 650 to 700 as a natty sumo. I believe in that for sure. It's just I was lazy for years, you know. Specifically proving that dub lowers your T levels unless it's Dragon Ball. Yeah, Dragon Ball, I prefer dub all the way. Sorry, that's the only exception. But Yu Yu Hakuro, I watched the sub for that. Hunter x Hunter, yeah. It was good. I even enjoyed the Ant arc. A lot of people didn't like it, but I didn't find it too long at all. Because that's how a lot of old school anime was back then. Nowadays, the modern stuff tends to be 12 to 24 episodes. But the animes from the 90s, bro, and even the early 2000s, they would extend like to 100 plus episodes. They were really long series. It was kind of hard to find like short ones unless they were the OVAs. But even then, they had a bunch of them, you know? So, yeah. Akame ga Kill, yeah, I've seen that one for sure. I can go through a bunch of them with you boys. I thought the Chimera Ant arc was pretty well received. I mean, people liked it, but they complained a lot about the length. They said it extended too much. And like when I compare it to the Frieza arc in Dragon Ball, it's like, what? It's not too long at all. What are you talking about? But people always got a nitpick about something. Hajime no Ippo, 100%. Yes. That's a must watch. Everybody's got to see it. See that too, bro. When you see that at a younger age, it motivates you. And you'll see with some serious lifters, they put anime music in the background. It's because it brings them back. You know? JoJo, yeah. But I stopped watching it after the season with Polnareff and, Zio. Not the first season. Sorry, spoiler. Lamau, he's still going. Yeah, bro. But I think I'm going to stop. We've been going for 3.5 hours. It's always quick with you guys. Yeah, boxed for 2 years because of it, and now I'm still hitting the gym. You see? That's awesome, man. Naruto, if so, who's your favorite character and why? Yeah, I've seen Naruto. It was good, but I just watched it once. I don't even remember who my favorite character was, to be honest. Because I didn't vibe with it super hard. It wasn't my main gig. I just did it as, like, you kind of have to, you know? Alright, from Canada, yeah. Montreal. Japanese dude here. Yo, what's up? Ishigo. Oh, Bleach. Yeah, Ishigo. Yeah, I watched Bleach like 5 years ago. My favorite character was the guy with the glasses, the nerd. He was cool. And with the bow. And there's going to be a new season for that too. In a bit. So that should be fun. How's the lockdown going? I'm doing good, bro. I got my home gym. And I'm making content for you guys. I'm happy. And the people that are close to me, I'm good with them too. No problems. All right. I think I'm going to end off with this final question, guys. I'm enjoying this very much, and we can keep going for far more hours. This guy says it's morning in France. So, yeah, that's the thing, too, right? I'm going to get all the people from a different time zone come in, and we're going to be back up with a crazy amount of viewers. So, we're going to wrap up. All right. Two more questions, actually. Are you from the Balkans originally? Well, I'm 50-50 Greek and Italian. Like in the last live stream, I gave you my ancestry breakdown. So, yeah. And then for the last question right here, it was about what are your thoughts on pause squats and pause deadlifts? So, the pause deadlift, I'll be honest that I hadn't given it a lot of love because I was basing this off the fact that you can do isometrics at your sticking points. So if you're stuck right below your knee on a conventional deadlift, you can set the pins directly at that point and just do like heavy pulls from there, and you literally cannot go through it. So you're building isometric strength in that position. It's very specific, and it builds the joint angle stress slightly above the knee and below. So I always figured that was better, right? And then if you're going to pause, do it like at the bottom of an RDL. I found it weird that you're going to explode. The moment you get to a certain point, you're just going to halt it there and hold it, right? But what I've realized is a lot of really strong deadlifters regularly talk about this. And I had to reevaluate my biases. Even though logically what I just described to you makes sense, maybe they're onto something. And what they were discussing was it enhances technique. It allows you to get more out of less weight. And in general, it's good to do manual ISOs in certain positions. And what made me realize that more was my experience with weighted calisthenics. So when I would do holds at the top, like that's not the same as like what I described earlier. Like you're still floating in the air, you know what I'm saying? And the isometrics are still going to radiate. So of course that's going to apply to the pause deadlifts that you've seen some of these powerlifters recommend. So based off that logic, I think it probably is a good exercise, and I may mess with them myself. I don't think they're going to beat the other stuff that we talk about. Like maybe even block pulls are a better choice. I'd say they probably are, to be honest, but it doesn't mean they don't have a place. And then pause squats, I've always been a fan of those. They're really good, excellent carryover, and they do a great job of building up your quads. You do a heel elevated SSB squat and you pause at the bottom, man, the contraction is unmatched. It's great for powerlifters for getting stronger out of the hole. And in general, I have nothing bad to say about it. It teaches you how to stay under control, how to stay tight at the bottom. Strength athletes and bodybuilders will benefit from it. You're getting away from that dive bombing syndrome. So instead of just like falling all the way down to the bottom and rebounding, you know, and changing like your active straining range of motion. So like when I do my pause bench, I have to explode from here straight up, right? But if I do a touch and go bounce, it's when the bounce momentum stops. So that might be the forcing really begins right around there. So it helps you a little few inches off, right? And if you always do that, you might not actually be training the deep range of motion. So we can talk about going through range of motion versus actually actively training it. And that's where the pause squats come into play. It's tough, man. And you'll get a nice reduction, more out of less weight, get more jacked. It's just great to do overall. And yeah, guys, I think that's about it for tonight. It's almost 2 a.m. Here's a cool announcement. Your boy doesn't have insomnia anymore. I'm back up to a healthy weight. And I found that 2 a.m. is my limit. I can't go beyond this point. I end up falling asleep. Whereas when I was shredded, I was going to bed at like 5:30 in the morning. It was absolutely horrific. I don't need anything, man. I don't need melatonin. I don't need any. Bro, it's phenomenal. It's just naturally I get exhausted at this time. And I'm feeling it right now. Maybe you could tell a bit. But, bro, even if I watch anime or I'm on the screen, it's beautiful. When you bring yourself to a healthy body weight, you're going to be a little bit fluffier, obviously, but the energy's there. You can speak for longer. You're more productive. You're healthier. You're happier. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? So, yeah, that was the first Q&A for 2022. Really enjoyed it. And I'll be back here in a few weeks. It's going to be pretty busy for me with some other stuff that you guys can expect. So stay tuned. But maybe at the end of the month, we can do something like around the 25th-ish. I'll see. It would be good to do this on a Friday night. Or I like Friday nights and Sunday nights because I feel like, you know, it just works for everybody's schedule. But yeah, that's it. Literally falling asleep within 1 minute laying down. Thank you for everything. 2022, baby. Hell yeah, man. I'm so excited for this year. It's going to be awesome. Sunday night's better. Good. Okay, we're going to keep it up. And we're just going to play around. So, thank you for being here tonight. You guys stayed with me for almost 4 hours. It was great. I enjoyed interacting with you all. Thank you for all the questions, all the super chats. It was awesome, guys. So, you have yourself a good night. If you're in my time zone, you better get in bed. And for all you guys who are waking up, hey, it's time to own the day. You got this. It's Monday. Let's start the week strong. Get some PRs in. No excuses. Eat right. Let's freaking crush it, man. You know we all got this. So take care, everyone. And I'll see you all in the next live stream. Good night.